It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and right now you're tuning into World Combat Sports. Fall in once again. You're listening to World Combat Sports. What's good? It's Tuesday. And you know, as I always say, man, one day closer to the weekend, right? Salute everyone that's pulling up to the live chat, man. Go ahead, take your popcorn out, man. We got some interesting shit popping off with Mauricio Suliman recap from Barbershop Conversations. You know what I'm saying? Now, first of all, I want to give a salute to all the supporters. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Pass the word. That's what it's all about, man. One team, one fight. One team, one fight, man. I need y'all help. Let's get it. It's gonna be some amazing recap. It's gonna be some portions that you like and some portions that you don't. You know what I'm saying? That's just period. I thought it was important to speak on because there were a collective group of talking points that was covered in this conversation, this interview. You know what I'm saying? This dialogue that in an open panel, that deals with the sport of boxing. It was a lot to talk about. So I have to pre-warn you that the talking points will be chopped up. Like, I didn't go through the entire interview and take out the talking points. I was just recording it as I went along, so you all can, so myself, I can have accessibility to it, to bookmark it, and allow the listeners, to start, the start and finish of that point. So, let's pop this off, man. I'm gonna get right down to it. Mauricio Suliman, the president of the WBC, stopped in for a fantastic interview. And shout out to Fred, Barbershop Conversations, for putting another hot jewel, out to the boxing media in the showcase. And it's good journalism, man. I don't know why it doesn't have many more views than it does. I mean, it must be a lot of people that don't like Mauricio, but goddamn it, that's an important figure in boxing. He's making a lot of things shift and adjust at the drop of a dime, all paperwork. That's who he is. The picture on this is when I ran into him again when we was at the MGM Grand. So, of course, had to put my own content up here. Mauricio, he got that look on his face like, oh, God, I hope he's not about to ask me about that franchise belt. But he was cool people, man. You know what I'm saying? He was cool people. But let me get started with my first talking point, okay? Just bear with me. Let me get to the bookmark.
That's it. The franchise designation I just tried to explain, and it's very minimum. It's two cases that we have And right now, Canelo is a WBC super middleweight champion. So that franchise is not being used at this moment. He's a champion of the division. So, and we are not going to do a champion to substitute Canelo because he's defending the title. So there's no need to have a franchise designation at this time.
So he was talking about Mauricio is basically referring to Canelo Alvarez, who's decided to campaign at the super middleweight division. He received a franchise belt at the middleweight division and did absolutely zero with it. Zilch, nada, right? So with that being absent, boxing fans will always be curious, and media like myself, the media minds is out here, the hardcore media segues, they're going to ask, well, if he was granted this franchise belt at middleweight, what is the forward progress if he doesn't have a TBD to return back to the 160-pound division? He doesn't have an ETA to return back to the middleweight division to do anything with the franchise belt. Like, the franchise belt is preventative maintenance. He doesn't have to face Charlo. He doesn't have to. All right. So therefore, if he's up at the super middleweight division, we don't have an idea when he's going to return. So Mauricio is like, we're not in a hurry to designate another champion at 60 as a franchise champion. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a sense of urgency to do that. I mean, Canelo hasn't absolutely aborted the mission, so to speak, even though he did come off that WBA title. You know what I'm saying? Even though he did come off that WBA title, let's not trip off that. Gennady is the IBF, right? Murata was moved up, elevated, and then you just have whoever else is over there at 60. I mean, over there at WBO at 60. So we really want to know, what is the forward progress with this damn franchise belt in the absence of Canelo Alvarez? In the absence of, how is the division able to do anything? Because right now, if Jamal Charlo had any intentions of unifying the division, there's no way that he can do it and call himself undisputed. Can he call himself undisputed? Can the WBC rewrite the book? So if Jamal Charlo has that WBC belt and he fights every other champion from the IBF to the WBO without fighting Canelo Alvarez, will he be recognized as the undisputed champion? The last time I checked, I had to double back. Last time I checked, I believe he could become undisputed. I think he can. But when it comes to the franchise champion can become undisputed without facing Jamal Charlo. If I'm correct, I may be mistaken, but he can absolutely become undisputed without facing Jamal Charlo. That's what Mauricio Suliman said way back. He's made that perfectly clear.
You mentioned Canelo, and you mentioned clean boxing program. What went into the mindset of the WBC? Because I know you have a voting public, a voting electorate that votes. What went into basically reinstating him when you're in charge of the clean boxing program? You donated $150,000 to UCLA for research. You went from 15 rounds to 12 rounds, added a fourth belt, as you say. What goes into the thought process and the decision making and saying, well, he tested positive, and we're only going to give him a short penalty, 6 months, and he's going to be able to fight for a belt in the very next fight?
Well, it's very simple, and I invite you and I thank you very much for this space, this opportunity.
Are we talking to the world right now, Mauricio?
Yeah, and if you do your research, you will be surprised at what you just said.
Okay.
Canelo tested positive for a substance which is called clenbuterol. Immediately, we had the amount of clenbuterol that he was found. And the research is very easy, very simple to do.
Okay.
Mexico, China, and a few other countries have a problem with cattle where they are fed clenbuterol, and if you ingest food containing clenbuterol, you will be having a positive result.
So what Mauricio is doing is just basically caveating in accordance with Canelo testing positive off eating beef, tainted beef or whatever. Okay, if indeed that is the case, then the contradiction comes into play is why was he suspended? If you're validating that China and all these neighboring countries, they have problems with stimulating cattle for faster growth. All right. And, you know, as far as them having a much limited supply than we have. So, of course, they're going to basically induce the growth expeditiously with these cattle. And it may include giving them some type of steroid or whatever, right? But is that the case Mauricio Suliman is trying to make? Then someone should have came up with that example and say, well, it voids him from any type of suspension. But when he was suspended, it was retroactive, I believe, back to February. And then it only became a 6-month suspension. He was back, you know, licensed, everything, ready to fight Gennady Golovkin. Now, Gennady felt some type of way because he was trying to now call Canelo Alvarez a cheat. And the fight they were supposed to have in between that suspension was canceled. And they end up fighting their rematch after the suspension had expired. But the contradiction is, if you're going to use the meat and you know what they actually inject into their cattle over there, then that should have been the reference to absolutely vindicate Canelo Alvarez from being a cheater. But it didn't. He was suspended. So that's why you're going to always have the voices of those who believe that he was, you know, out there microdosing, as they call it, or whatever the case may be. They're going to call him a drug cheat. Now, does being a drug cheat, you know, does it like taint his career? Yes, it does. Because both samples came back positive, right? So it does diminish and contaminate his career just a bit. But to say everything he's ever done, I wouldn't say so. But he did pop positive, and he was punished for it.
The amount that Canelo was found, the Nevada Commission is the one who put a 6-month suspension, and if you look at WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association, which is the World Association of Doping, they are the ones who select which substances are prohibited, okay? And they are the ones that put the threshold, meaning there are substances that are created by your body, and there are substances that you have to ingest.
So I have to stop him right there. Like, Mauricio, you have a designated position in your life, in your occupation, and a scientist isn't one of them. I'm just being honest. You're not a scientist. I know you've been in this, around the sport of boxing for quite some time, and you have an overlay of understanding of what drug testing consists of per the bodies like USADA, VADA, you know what I'm saying, WADA, and all those individuals who test. And you've been firsthand provided information so that you can read and have a clear, you know, I'm just a clear justification as to how things work when it concerns the boxers, right? You do, but you're not a scientist. Now, does he have the right to talk about what the body produces naturally? Yeah, it's plenty of what the body produces naturally. But when you're talking about Canelo Alvarez, right, you're basically saying that I am going to speak on some type of alternative to justify the amount of clenbuterol that was found in his system. You cannot do that. You cannot sit up here and attempt to vindicate him with your words and then turn around and not really underscore the fact that he was suspended. He was suspended when he went before whoever the commission or whatever or the communication was in place. They no one could present that the neighboring countries have this problem with beef and they're injecting with clenbuterol and all this other stuff. So if they didn't believe it, then why bring it to the public as if we're stooges and we're incompetent of understanding what the entire process is? He never should have been suspended if he was absolutely vindicated, if he was innocent, and that's not the case. So all this about what the body produces, you're not a scientist, bro.
Just to be found. For example, testosterone you produce, but you can also ingest. So if you look at today's WADA code, clenbuterol, they changed the threshold from what was an offense. They move it up so high, recognizing the problems that they have found in the Olympics, in baseball, in soccer, in Mexico. To give you an example, in 2011, there was a World Cup, Soccer World Cup. They performed 198 tests, and 119 soccer players were found positive of clenbuterol. There are many examples in the Olympics trials, in the Olympics process, in baseball, that are out there, the studies. So had Canelo taken that test today, it would not have been an offense.
Okay, we can talk about a lot of people if they would have. Okay, I just spoke about this with the UFC dealing with John Jones. Now, this, of course, I will have to stamp it and say, okay, if indeed, same situation went down with Alexander Povetkin. He tested positive for a substance that was just thrown on the ban list. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, it pretty much provides him a little bit of clarity of innocence. You know what I'm saying? It eliminates him from culpability. But Mauricio, he's not exactly wrong, okay, in what he's talking about in this particular case. He's saying that if indeed he would have tested today, he wouldn't have been found guilty of anything.
I don't know if I explained clearly, but the clenbuterol situation is clear. Vargas, when he was
Vargas, Julio Cesar Martinez,
No, Francisco Vargas. He was going to fight in California, and he was found with clenbuterol when he came to train to Mexico. The California Commission did a protocol. He was tested 14 more times. The fight went on, and the fight was the fight of the year against Salido. So this specific case about Canelo, I invite you to do research. Okay. And if you accept, I will send you the report.
I'm writing all this stuff down.
Okay. Because it is so unfair to label Canelo as a cheat with drugs, because that is absolutely not the case.
Okay. I don't want to jump ahead of myself as far as, him advocating for Canelo Alvarez, and that's not the case. It has to be the case. It's just like a criminal. It's just like anyone. Just say you're in the school systems and you're an educator and you're suspended for inappropriate behavior. That means you are somewhat guilty of the offense that you're accused of, right? So therefore, him going to here talking about Canelo Alvarez, and it's not right to accuse him of being. Why was he suspended then? If by chance, right, he was absolutely innocent, free of any guilt, then therefore he never should have been suspended. Never should have been suspended. Just like John Jones. John Jones popped again when picograms was found in his bloodstream. Dana White found out that you know what was going on with USADA. They went and did a more thorough investigation and found out someone who may be ingesting, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, if they are ingesting contaminated supplements for a long period of time, it may take one individual a more extensive period to filter out all of the residue or the debris that would still come up positive on a dope test. And they decided not to punish John Jones again. He changed the rule. John Jones actually changed the rules. So that's why I have to do comparison to what Mauricio is talking about and what happened over in the UFC with USADA. Of course, it took the UFC to kind of figure this out after many people had lost and tarnished their careers and were suspended. But in this particular case, you cannot attach it to what the threshold is today to basically vindicate Canelo Alvarez back then, because the rule was not in place. It wasn't like they found 0.0000. No, they found an amount in this system, and at the time it was a banned substance, and he was suspended. So we cannot clearly, absolutely just clear everything as if it's transparent that he never had a record, just like they tried to do with his loss against Floyd Mayweather. Come on, man.
Okay. Do you think since
and shout out to
Mexican
Fred Barbershop
fighters
Conversation for the interview. Once again, Fred Barbershop Conversation.
Their history, but you got guys like Francisco Vargas, Ray Vargas, Julio Cesar Martinez, Canelo. Does it give Mexican fighters a competitive advantage?
Absolutely not, because they have been educated about the subject. They are sensitive about it, and they do a well-planned diet. However, you can come here and have a steak and then have a positive result. But now, as I mentioned, WADA raised that margin so high to make it very difficult that if you ingest it by food consumption, to turn out positive. So if you are positive with clenbuterol, it means that you had taken it from an outside source. Let me give another example. Alexander Povetkin.
Yeah.
He was going to fight Wilder in Russia.
I pretty much mentioned this already. So let me fast forward just a bit. Hold on for a second.
To be the mandatory contender in
Pay attention.
the WBC, you have to win a final elimination bout,
Okay.
or be voted by a process by the Board of Governors to be named mandatory.
Okay.
There are many times where the number one contender is not mandatory.
Repeat.
What we have tried to always do is to open up the activity, and because many times a fighter can get to the number one spot by attrition. Let's say number one loses a fight, number two goes to fight for another organization, number three retires, and then you end up with number four, number five going to number one.
Yeah.
So that's why the WBC has a rule that to be mandatory, you have to win a final elimination bout and to be ratified or voted by the board to be mandatory contender.
Okay. Because on our end, and because I read the comments on my videos and stuff, Mauricio, it appears that to us and many boxing fans that Canelo has a silver spoon. You understand what I'm saying? Like he gets preferential treatment.
Well, he has earned his stripes.
Okay, so Mauricio basically validates that Canelo Alvarez has earned his stripes. And who am I to say the man haven't earned his stripes? It is a full contact sport. It's the hurt business, sweet science, man. He has earned his stripes, so to speak. And you cannot say a man that has over 50 professional fights have not earned his stripes. You cannot sit up here and be as selfish and biased to say no, he hasn't. You know what I'm saying? You cannot do that. So Mauricio saying he's earned his stripes. Okay. Now for the franchise shit, I figure they've given him a green spoon and not a silver spoon. The green spoon in boxing is much more of a favoritism when it comes to how he's able to maneuver and with his entitlement when he sees fit. The green spoon allows him to basically fluctuate or basically become mobile at any given time because of that green strap. It allows him to just make decisions and do what the fuck he want to do. And in the meanwhile, while he's able to maneuver the way he is, other fighters will suffer. Other fighters will suffer for the fact that if there actually are goals out there for the best to fight the best, and if one of those bests are sitting beneath the umbrella or the canopy of Canelo Alvarez, who has the franchise belt, then unless Canelo considers them somebody that he selects to fight, then they will be continually avoided. They will be continually overlooked.
He didn't get a silver spoon when he was 19 years old and made it all the way up, and he fought and lost to Floyd Mayweather, got a lesson, and then he bounced back without being a champion and defeated Miguel Cotto for the middleweight championship. And then he went on. So can we have the best fight, the best for WBC? Well, absolutely. We only care to see the best against the best. Again, we are not promoters, but we strive for making the best fights. We always support and promote unification bouts. We open up the flexibility to have fighters fight against other champions.
So if you heard what he said we support the best fighting the best. We do. And one of their primary emphasis that he also inserted into the narrative is unification bouts. And that is going to absolutely flow downstream into the point of a particular fighter at lightweight that's not even close to getting a unification bout. You know what I'm saying? It definitely goes upstream with no oars when it comes to Vasyl Lomachenko, who fought Luke Campbell for the vacant WBC belt. You know what I'm saying? Vacated and became franchise and then lost it. Lost it in a way that, at the time it was non-transferable, but it became transferable for Teofimo Lopez. But that's further downstream. Let's keep rowing. It's Whitecap.
So we are absolutely in favor of the best fighting the best, always.
Okay. You said he earned his stripe. What's the definition of you defined earning his stripes? How about 10 title defenses? Is that earning his stripes?
See, look what Fred just did. Listen. I don't have to be outside of the LDBC to accredit an individual for superb journalistic intention. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the questions of being delegated to Mauricio Suliman, the president, is from Fred. I have to salute him for that. There's a damn solid Q&A for the viewing audience and the boxing fans, and I have to credit him that. Real talk. So therefore, when he asked that leading question, I pretty much knew where it was going already because he had already said about stripes. So therefore, when we talking about stripes, then we knew damn well at the point in time of Deontay Wilder's reign, those stripes have to be comparable to him. But Mauricio gives his point. He gives his point of reference.
10 title defenses is absolutely great accomplishments, of course.
Wilder, Gary Russell, 5 years. I know he only fights once a year. But how come they was never in consideration, whether they wanted it or didn't want it? Like Canelo fought for a vacant belt, Teofimo fought for a vacant belt, and I'm drawing the blank on the man's name, but he has the landing strip, the bald head guy from the top rank. He said we asked for this when he left the convention 2 years ago. He said we asked for the WBC belt, franchise belt. Oh, that was the one. Do you want Triple G versus Canelo? Is that the goal for 168? Triple G versus Canelo?
I think that would be a sensational fight. Canelo had a draw with Triple G.
He been 160.
Then defeated him and won the championship. And they have been dancing around the possibility of a third fight. So that would be, I think, very, very entertaining.
Okay, we got our first Black Star Sports. We go on one question. We moving on. Lock it in, and we move it on because
these guys fight, because we could have already had the fight. All right. Thank you there, Fred. Appreciate you.
Shout out Black Star.
The opportunity to address the good WBC president here. Hey, with all the stuff going on in the heavyweight division right now, with the arbitration going on between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, and how everybody in the heavyweight division is waiting on the outcome before we can have, things move forward in the heavyweight division. How come you guys haven't just mandated these guys fight? Because we could have already had a fight and moved this thing much further along than we are. Is there any particular reason why that hasn't happened yet?
Well, the WBC was aware of a contract between Wilder and Fury for a third fight. And we were led to believe all along that the fight would happen December 19. That was the WBC knowledge and ruling up to a couple of months where it became evident the fight was not happening on December 19, and they are in a legal proceeding. So it's a matter that they are dealing with. The WBC cannot intervene because that was a private contract between the two fighters. So
listen. Now, what he just said, it was a private contract between both fighters. Media have to understand what we want and what we aren't recognizing is two different things. You have to recognize the fact that a standalone contract that has absolutely nothing to do with the WBC means their hands are tied. The implementation with the WBC was in December last year. It expired. So when you're talking about the documentation that is still official contractually between these two, is why we see them where they at right now in arbitration, mediation arbitration. Now they're in arbitration. What does Mauricio Suliman has to do with it? He cannot do anything. This is contractually something that Deontay Wilder had 30 days to do after February 22nd last year. After he lost, the next day, it was 30 days from that day on to enact his rematch clause for a trilogy. Due to COVID and everything else, the fight didn't happen and so forth. So Mauricio is basically saying, it's out of my hand. They're in a court of law to decide the contract that is binding between those two individuals. No one else. We can't sit up here and act like the WBC is the approving authority, the superior hierarchy. They can't do nothing. They did what they're supposed to do. The fight didn't happen in December per the WBC. So now contractually, they're in court to figure it out.
I don't know if this has responded to your question, but Wilder is the number one contender. He's supposed to have a contract to fight the third fight with Fury. We're waiting for the resolution that we know the same thing as you know. It's all in the arbitration.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Fred.
We got Ricky, then we got Drew. Okay, Ricky Williams, what's up?
and Tyson Fury in the second fight in those gloves?
Well, that was a matter that the local boxing commission, that is a jurisdiction where you fight, that is a jurisdiction that controls everything that happens in that situation. And both California and Las Vegas, where the second fight took place, they had all the inspectors in the dressing rooms. They fought with certified gloves. They inspected the bandaging and the gloves. And there was inspectors in the corner. So there was absolutely nothing that was reported from the commission.
Appreciate you, Ricky. All the time. We got Drew coming in. Drew, ahead.
So Drew Titan's next, and he's going to ask about, the situation where everybody's been talking about as far as the glove situation that went down February 22nd and the aftermath of it all. So, very solid line of questioning, coming from these individuals. And, just pay attention to boxing fans, man. Education is always absorbed if you allow it to.
Good evening.
Hey, hello, Drew.
How you feel? To be honest, I had a bunch of questions, but I know I'm limited, so I'll just... You said you was in both locker rooms, in both Fury versus Wilder fights. You was in both locker rooms, right? That must mean you witnessed the hand wraps.
No, I did not witness the hand wraps. I was in the locker rooms where they have inspectors that are with the fighters at all times.
Okay, so you was in Fury's locker room, but you didn't see the hand wraps at all.
No, I visited both locker rooms. I do that in every title fight. I go with the challenger, go with the champion, wish them luck. Sometimes I go 2-3 times before the fight.
So there's no set time limit for him to homestead in either locker room. And also you have to be wary of listening. Some people really don't listening, or they are listening and they're quick to react. But leading questions are meant for the recipient to receive and respond. You know what I'm saying? Receive and respond. That is what this is about. So if someone asks you, so you saw Tyson Fury's hand being wrapped, you either respond with yes or no. Now, certain people are going to look at this as like, well, he's asking leading questions. And from my understanding, Drew was in, previous law enforcement and everything. And that's his line of question. That's his mannerisms and that's his directives. I don't have a problem with how he asked the question. The situation has a lot to do with how Mauricio answered the question for the fight fans. Why? Because the question was asked to try to find some type of target to put our finger on as to who was back there in the dressing room. Was it Mauricio? Every time a debate come up about this glove gate, people want to say, well, the commission was back there. The inspectors was back there. Mauricio just told y'all he was in and out. The champion and the challenger. He was in and out. So it wasn't no sustained time that he witnessed anything. That's what his words are. I'm just going off what his words were. So pay attention to what comes up next.
So what I have said constantly is that I went to the locker rooms, and if you were to visit a locker room, you would see how many inspectors are in a room for a title fight.
I've actually seen it. I've seen video. I'm good friends with Tay Jones, and he shared cell phone videos, and I didn't see you. So I was asking, you was in both locker rooms, so you didn't see the actual hand wraps, and you didn't see who put on whose gloves. Because the reason why I'm asking is because I'm sure, you've heard of Glovegate and the allegations about Tyson Fury's gloves, and it's interesting. Ricky brought up the Togo situation, and I'm glad you answered that question because things are different with jurisdictions, and I'm glad because I didn't know that. So I just learned something. Thank you very much. However, before I get out of here, what was the outcome with Togo?
And the boxing commission had the gloves, and they confiscated the gloves, and they researched, and there was no padding. There was the removal of the product of the hair on the raised gloves. That's what actually happened, and the commission presented that protest to the WBC, and they had all the evidence.
Okay. All right.
Of the product of the.
Because things are different with jurisdictions, and I'm glad because I didn't know that. So I just learned something. Thank you very much. However, before I get out of here, what was the outcome with Togo? And
the boxing commission had the gloves, and they confiscated the gloves, and they researched, and there was no padding. There was the removal of the product of the hair on the raised gloves. That's what actually happened, and the commission presented that protest to the WBC, and they had all the evidence.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna get out of here, Fred. Where's Fury's gloves right now? Were they inspected?
I'm sorry?
Fury's gloves. Were they inspected?
Yeah, I'm sure I don't know if the boxing commission has the gloves or who has the gloves.
So when you hear this question, right? Damn good question was, to ask a question about Togo's situation, which Mauricio pretty much kind of said that the pattern was removed and this, that, and the other. It was kind of a securities answer, to be honest. But to bleed that over to the question, was Tyson Fury's glove inspected? And then Suliman started tap dancing a little bit. He wasn't quite sure. He said, "Yeah, this, that, and the other. Did that happen?" And it's a solid question to know if Fury's gloves were inspected. You know what I'm saying? If they were indeed inspected. So, of course, we're going to get a breakdown on when they're supposed to be inspected. But the whole point is, were his gloves inspected? If you're going to say before, during, and after, whatever the case may be, then in this manner right here, in such a controversial heavyweight fight, we need to understand what the facts are. The FACTS. We need to understand if the WBC did what they're supposed to, since these two was competing for Deontay's WBC strap, were in fact the gloves inspected.
But the gloves are inspected prior, during, and after the bout in every jurisdiction.
So you don't know where the gloves are?
No.
He doesn't know where the gloves are. But if you stay close to social media, you know what I'm saying, stay all nice and cozy, I'm pretty sure many of us, once again, seen the interview with Sugar Hill when he was in the hot seat. And, pretty much someone asked where the gloves at. I think Fred asked where the gloves at. He said it was in his showcase, his trophy case, whatever. And then I believe the following question was, then, we want to see him. And then Sugar Hill came back with an answer, that was pretty much a derogatory response. He seemed a bit agitated to my, I don't know if he said he can kiss my ass or whatever, but that's not what we want to know. You know what I'm saying? If you have the gloves in your possession, then therefore show us the damn gloves. You know what I'm saying? You probably are afraid to show the gloves because, once again, the visual may not be healthy to the audience. You know what I'm saying? We might not receive a healthy invitation off what we see. And the gloves might be extremely wrinkled, but then again, you see gloves that look like they don't have padding in them. Then people are going to be like, well, he went 7 rounds with Deontay Wilder. So it would be good for us just to put a visual spot on him so we can give our own assessment and evaluation. But he didn't allow us that opportunity. He just said, "Fuck them."
I know where they are.
Where?
In Sugar Hill's house, he told us. Go have a look at it.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it.
You too.
What's your take on Glovegate? What's your take on Glovegate? I heard, but take your time because you're literally talking.
Mauricio's kind of stumped right now. You know what I'm saying? He's feeling some type of way. He's kind of boiling up a little bit. But hey, he's in the line of fire right now. It's not the first time he's experienced freaking controversy. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the damn line of fire. He should have known. So he's thinking to himself, damn, okay. Either one, he didn't know, or he did know. But he was expecting us not to know. You feel me?
The world right now, the whole boxing world is watching Mauricio.
Well, my take is what I have said.
That's why I wanted to give you the long form answer. You can take your time and
I have been, there's many boxing jurisdictions. Mm-hmm. There's Japan, there's Canada. In the United States, you have every state has their own boxing commission.
Sure.
And I have been in multiple fights in California, in Las Vegas. And I can say that those two boxing commissions, they have plenty of personnel. They have qualified inspectors that have worked in boxing for many years. And as I've been saying, when I go to the dressing room, before the fight, you ask both camps, mm-hmm. Are you going to inspect the hand wraps? Yes or no? Yes, okay. And then they agree on a time to go and witness the hand wraps. And if they don't like something, the inspector intervenes and they take them out or do whatever. So it's a process where the inspectors are present, but also the other side is present in the hand wrapping of the fighters. Okay. There are fights in which fighters agree not to have anyone visit the dressing room. They trust each other.
Now, him mentioning, in certain cases, there are individuals who are running the trust code. You know what I'm saying? They're going on the honor system. And believe me, on the top tier fights, that's just not going to be the case. You're not going to have individuals going off the trust system. Yeah, it's not going to happen. And I am against him even bringing that up, especially in reference to what we're trying to basically put this in association with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Something was terribly going on with that particular fight. So, I know you're trying to say as far as your presence and in the locker room and then your tardiness. You're switching back and forth. You have a lot of obligations and duties before the fight actually starts. I get it. But in this fight right here, if all the inspectors was doing what they were supposed to do, and then the freaking string was disconnected and everything else that took place in the aftermath and during the fight with all the frames and shit, something just didn't look the way it's supposed to. And it's amazing what the mind will deny, and it's amazing what the mind will receive.
As I said, I was not in the hand wrap or the gloving, because you go in and out, and that's what the inspector does, and that's the boxing commission duty. As I said, I was in both fights, I was in both dressing rooms, and I didn't see anything different that I have seen in any other fight. And I was during the fight watching, and I never saw anything that was out of the ordinary. So I have not a question of this specific matter, but I'm just telling you in general how the boxing commissions work and how they worked on that night.
What's the WBC's relationship with Reyes gloves? Because there's a logo of the WBC inside the glove. Are you guys like a sponsor, or how does that work?
No, we created a specification for the glove. Okay. Where you have a set of labels because in many countries, the gloves are used over and over and over. So we determined through a study that the maximum amount of rounds that gloves should be used is 30 rounds. And these labels should be cut by the boxing commission after the fight.
Okay.
So that when that label is finished, that glove should not be used in a fight. We have seen gloves that are used by the main event, then they go to the 10 rounders, 8 rounders, 6 rounder, and I've seen over the years gloves that are absolutely not in shape to be used. But that label inside is some.
He was a Mexican fighter, and O'Shaquie Foster hair. I mean, whatever they use, you know.
I'm fast forwarding.
Getting not to fight next day. Barrera Morales, they had on contract that they had to use winning gloves, the brand winning, and they would not fit Barrera because of the shape. So they had to take out some foam and put it over the top. Floyd against Maidana, there was a big controversy because they were custom-made gloves. I believe they were Everlast, or I don't recall very well, but they went down to the day of the fight threatening that they would not fight because of the gloves. So this has been a long process of problems forever in boxing with the gloves. What I can tell you, yes, glove tampering is a crime.
Yes.
And it cannot be tolerated, cannot be accepted, and must be fully gone to the absolute last resources. So glove tampering, bandaging tampering, that's a crime.
I'm gonna stop it right there. Appreciate everyone who's pulling up on Retro for Life. Salute to you. WCS Milo in the building. Big up comeback. You hear the Haney's talking legal action against the WBC. I'll definitely get back to your comment. King Mitch in the building. What's good? Comeback. What up? What up to you? Andrew Charles. Salute WCS. Mitch, Canelo been gone from 60. I've heard him and Reynoso say they would not fight at 60 unless it's against Errol Spence. Charlo, Andrade, and Triple G will have to move up to 68 for sure. Mitch just said Clembuti, LOL. How many other Mexicans fighters have treated positive for Clen? Should many other fighters, that's the case. If the cattle surely tainted, as Suliman said. Seneca J in the building. Salute, man. Tone Brown, what's good? What's good? Black Star in the building. What's good to you? Number one contender is not the mandatory. Absolutely. Number one contender is not the mandatory. You're right. Mauricio Suliman said on camera in public at the Mayweather Canelo post-fight press conference that Canelo was his favorite fighter. Nothing else to be said. True words, man. That's we talking about that green spoon. There's a green spoon he was handed. Green spoon is that WBC franchise that allow him to basically eat at the table in a division he feel like it. You know, when he feel like it. Callum Smith is not the best of the best. 30 seconds after the fight, he said he outgrown the division. Yeah, for real. All these pictures come out. Callum Smith looking like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar going in there against Spud Webb, and he didn't even use any of that advantage. Man, nobody wants to see Triple G Canelo 3. Absolutely. Mark Pinkett in the building. What's good? J8 in the building. Salute. The Ugly Truth. What's good? WCS spitting facts on what we want and what is ours. Two different conclusions, but only one is valid contractually. True words, man. True words, man. Let me get back to this video. Appreciate everyone pulling up as always. The Lion's in the building. I got, you know, even though Lion is not my favorite killer in the Serengeti, but you know, I have to say the Lions in the no. I have to say the Kodiaks. The Kodiaks in that motherfucker. Because I always look at the bears being more of a detriment of a killer than a lion. Because bears can actually climb trees. You know, they can do some amazing things and they vicious. Let's go.
Yeah. So was PED use. You know what I mean?
PED use.
Yeah.
Now there's a new law in the USA in which PED use will become a federal offense with consequences, which is a very good decision that that the United States has put into the law.
Okay, we got Reggie Owens, H Money, and L Dude. He's only here for an hour, so we're gonna get these in. So we got one question, and feel free to stay if you want to stay a little bit longer, Mauricio. You're more than welcome to. You know,
Shout out to Boxing Conversation, Reggie Owens.
Happy and
okay. Are you good? You good?
Yes, of course I'm good.
Okay, Reggie, what's up, man?
Oh man, what's up, Fred? Man, once again, Fred, you shocked us with this one. You shocked us. Great one. And hello to you, Mauricio. But I got some questions. I got a question for you, and it mainly sticks with, yesterday was the birthday of a boxing icon, boxing legend, in Muhammad Ali. So last year I seen you pay tribute to Muhammad Ali, and the story that you brought up was a story about as a young kid, he spent the night at your house, and supposedly he asked, he was supposed to set to do the prayer that they pray in the direction of Mecca. And from your story that you gave is that he asked you which direction to point in. You go back down to talk to your mother, and your mother asks what direction he points in, and it's the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And then your second story was the one of being at a banquet and him sitting with your father, or your father asking you to watch over him, and him being hungry. And when he asks for something to eat, you bring him some food over, and he's devouring it. And when he asked what the food was, it was pork. Now, I thought the story, where you're laughing about it, but I thought the story was complete disgust. It was major disrespect. And you kind of played, kind of an insult to his religion and to the person that he was. Have you ever apologized to the family for that? And the reason why I bring this up, because when it comes to questions involving you, there seems to be a huge disparity in the way you go about leveraging the way in which you balance out your functions in life, your function in control of a system based upon race. Now, your issue with Freshawn de Cruz, where you stood out and you stepped in front of defending the lady going through, because she's of Mexican descent, going through. Let me finish.
Let me first go to Ali.
Well, no, I don't want to ask two questions, but she's going through a gender transition of being of Mexican descent, how you defended those who spoke out against her. When many people who had opinions about this lady knew that this lady was going through therapeutic steroid use. Now, when it came to giving back the belt to the female black champion, there seemed to be issue in which the time in which those belts were returned. And the same thing, you show favor when it comes to the other Mexican champion who has a little bit of, what can I say? Shame amongst his reputation as being a drug use, PD user, and you attach a goddamn franchise tag to him to allow him to avoid champions like the Charlo who have done every step to follow this dude, and you seem to have these big-time racial issues. Now, you ain't got to wear a hood, and you ain't got to use the N-word, but your actions
now we can talk
some racial biases.
Can I talk now?
Go ahead.
Okay, first, I was 12 years old, and those were stories that are great anecdotes, and I have had Lonnie Ali and all the Ali family great relationship for many, many years. So if you cannot find humor in a stupid 12-year-old boy who doesn't know that a Muslim cannot eat pork and doesn't know where's north and south in his own house, then you have a problem. Second, you are being racist for calling me a racist.
No, I'm being honest.
You are the one that are racist. I am very good friend with Muslim, with Jewish, with Arabs, with Mexican, with any country, every religion. You can call any fighter that you know from any race and ask him how we relate. Call Sean Porter, call Errol Spence, call Wilder. I was with Wilder in the Vatican with Pope Francis. How dare you call me racist? You are the one that are racist. I am friends and I have defended all the human equality. My father stood by Nelson Mandela for 19 years. We have a letter from Nelson Mandela that he sent from prison to my father. My father was awarded in the United Nations a citation for fighting against apartheid. We went to South Korea to unite South and North Korea. You are the one that is racist for calling me those names because I only have respect friendship and honor to any fighter in the face of the earth. Thank you.
Well, let me respond to you real quick, because I'm going to point you out as being a racist, because you can speak all that, but when it comes to even the deepest, most open racists will work with anyone who they hate, as long as money is the equation and the X factor in the relationship. So that don't cover ish. When it comes to the way in which you see things delivered seamlessly through the sport, there's a huge dipping and waving almost on some roller coaster type ish when it comes to the sport. Now, you brought up that shit to want to covering your ass of being a racist, but you never answered the Freshonda Cruz time in which you returned that hell.
Let's call Freshonda Cruz right now. She's
very clever for what?
She's very.
And I'm out, Fred. I'm out because I don't want to talk.
Take the time and elaborate on.
I will. Yeah.
You in the barbershop, man. You in the barbershop, man.
Good, and I take it, but don't call me racist.
Okay.
See, I respect, him stand in a tough line of questioning, or direct line of fire, so to speak. When somebody like Reggie Owens was subjecting him with intensity like that, and that's Reggie Owens. That's his observation, man. That's how he sees it, and for both of those to have a pretty decent dialogue, the volume was turned up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I can understand where both sides are coming from. I can understand where Reggie's coming from with that antidote, so to speak, that Mauricio spoke on. It would be offensive to certain people, but also I have to look at it like this. When I was 12 years old, I didn't quite understand why I saw some brothers with suits selling bean pies. I didn't know back then, because I wasn't raised under the Muslim faith, as far as, they can't eat pork. That wasn't something I was subjected to. I was a Baptist. You know what I'm saying? I was a Baptist. I'm going to be real. I wasn't privy to that information, because I ate some of everything under the sun. I really had no restrictions on my diet. But it is good education as you're growing up to understand why, they don't mess around with the swine. You know what I'm saying? And I can understand. And one thing I can say about Reggie Owens, he keep that shit direct and straight line every time he's on deck. You know what I'm saying? I have much respect for him for standing up in what he believe. You know what I'm saying? What he believe in directing towards Mauricio. Now for Mauricio, in my interaction with him, every time I ran to Mauricio, and being able to have a conversation with him, I didn't get the vibe or the energy that he was a racist. Now, one thing you heard Reggie say is that a racist would have no problem being close to an enemy or close to someone they hate if money is the equation and the X factor. And that is true in some ways. That is true now. That is true. People don't understand the deep logic and how that all comes to a point of understanding. That is absolutely true. It's a lot of people that will keep individuals that they hate close, especially if they have some type of monetary gain from being around them individuals. Money will allow people to wipe shit away, and they will become blind instead of ignoring. You know what I'm saying? Ignoring it in most cases is basically avoidance. It's just saying, I ain't gonna be nowhere around in the proximity. But you know what I'm saying? Some people will stay close if it's something that's going to benefit them, and they will fake that shit out and think nothing of it, because it's the equation of monetary gain is the X factor. But I'm not saying that is the case with Mauricio Suliman, to be honest with you. I've spoken to Mauricio's wife, and I've spoken to Mauricio in separate, not together, separate. I did not receive the vibe from his wife. I didn't. And we were sitting there having a general dialogue. I did not get that from her. I didn't. But that's not to say who he is when he's operating his business. And we're going to get into that, with who's been designated as the franchise champion. That's a problem. The only individuals that's been designated as the franchise champion is a problem. It's a problem for a lot of people.
The same way they shoot, the same way you can shoot. Let's go.
I respect him for putting his camera on and saying to my face, but he's wrong. Francione Cruz is a beautiful lady. He's our champion. I talk to her often, and I'm very proud of her.
So, peep this out. To caveat off Reggie said, right? Reggie pulled back the bow and shot the arrow on this one. And that shit was center. That shit was center mass. And why I say what I say is that it was fucked up. It was fucked up how Mauricio, seeing that the WBA returned the title with no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Francione Cruz went in there with the female who was walking through her punches, sounded like me. Okay? She sounded like me. Goddamn looked like him. When it came down to her popping positive on some shit because she's going through a transition, WBC is want to try to come out and say, well, she's gonna have to fight for the title. How? Another sanctioning body has already did what was good for boxing. They already allowed their actions to speak for themselves. They returned the belt to Francione. The WBC should have voluntarily returned the belt to Francione. It shouldn't have been no delay. I absolutely agree with him bringing up that scenario because that, my friends, is bullshit. That, my friends, to me, it kind of puts Mauricio in a situation where he's a semi-heartless. He's insensitive to that because here we go, another Hispanic getting the treatment when it comes to Mauricio Suliman, who said he's not, but his parents is. But anyway, the lady tests positive, and she's going through a transition, and he want to talk about she gay. Her being gay wasn't the point. How she looked to the audience was a big problem. Then for the hardcore fans that saw her, they say, damn, that girl, that what are we looking at? It like a man, sound like a man, what's going on here? And then there was pictures out there of the way she used to look. She had a daughter. So Mauricio brought that into the damn pool. So you got water splashing everywhere and shit. But the ones who are understanding are the hardcore boxing fans that say shit isn't right with this chick. And come to find out she popped positive. What would be the delay for the WBC to return Francione her just due title? She went in there and fought someone who was dirty. And the girl was walking through her punches. Walking through her punches. And for what I know, Francione, she spars dudes. So for this chick to come in here and be walking through her punches and win a title, it should have been automatic for her to receive her WBC strap back. It should have been automatic. Have you heard anything about Jimenez? Nothing. But the quote unquote overlay is going to be that she's going through a transition. Who cares? If you're going through a transition, then you need to be clean. We don't want to hear about those therapeutic steroids injections because you're going through a transition. Well, stay out of the sport of boxing, go through your entire transition, and then return to the sport clean to fight. Because you returning to the sport dirty is absolutely in accordance to a fighter that's fighting dirty that's not going through a transition. If they pop positive, she pop positive, still the same dirty test. So you should be punished equally.
And when we have to follow a protocol on a doping situation, that's what we did. What I defended the lady Jimenez was people calling her to be a man, and she's not a man. I know her daughter. I have known her for many years, and it's completely out of respect to call someone who is gay to call her that she's a man and say all these things that they said about her. Anyway, I feel proud and I stand tall, and I'm just facts proof everything that I have done, and I have so many friends in every single race and religion. So,
You know, when people say the friend thing, you know how many times I've heard people, you know, I have to say that to the end. When it comes to people being called a certain thing, you know, a certain description that's being racist, you know, sometimes they just basically say, well, you know, I have a friend. You don't have to say that. You don't have to say, you don't have to validate you have a friend. You don't have to validate that. You don't. If you're not, you're not. If you are, your actions will speak for themselves. You don't have to validate to anybody what's the percentage of white friends you got, black friends, Mexican, Asian. You don't have to sit up here and validate to anyone for justification.
that's absolutely.
Why did it take so long to reinstate Franchise Cruz? Because you literally jumped out the window. Because I remember, I was like, I go lie, Mauricio. I don't know if it's a man or a woman now. I'm being respectful. I'm being honest. I'm looking at her and I'm hearing her talk. I'm like, she's taking steroids. Like, I mean, I'm just an ordinary guy. I've never even taken a Tylenol in my life, Mauricio. And I'm like, never smoked weed, never drank. And I'm like, there's something fishy about her. You understand? Then you jumped out the window.
She's gay. She's gay.
Yeah, gay.
And she was born, and she has a girl baby, and she's gay.
And then she ended up 30.
She was a heavyweight, and came down and lost a lot of weight, and changed her life around. And why it took so long? Because there is a process that you have to do whenever there's a doping violation.
Okay.
The Povetkin case took over a year. I mean, we have been consistent. We put Jimenez in champion in recess. We immediately withdrew recognition until the investigation happened. So I think it's been completely misviewed, because if you only see one side and you stick to that side and you don't have the open mind to look at what really is happening, that's when you get to wrong conclusions.
And you could be right. It's the only thing is I read a letter that had a WBC letterhead on it as it pertains to Jimenez, and I'm like, this long letter. I'm like, that was it. Then she ended up popping. You know what I mean? And now it goes into the effects of Franchise Cruz's career. Like, what are there?
No, Franchon. She could have been active, and she just didn't fight, and the pandemic has gotten in the way. Mm-hmm. But the WBC in no way stopped Franchise from anything.
Yeah.
The letter that you're referring to was the day after the fight, when she was labeled of all accusations that she was.
Yeah, because they was coming hot and heavy. That's why.
When the thing of the doping.
I'm done listening to that.
If you shoot someone,
poor analogy.
Violations.
Poor analogy. You want to compare that to the court of law. When you shoot somebody, it's right there on the spot.
Reach a conclusion that would be completely against the humanity and the human. How do you call that? Human resource, human rights.
Okay. H Money, you ready? All right, H Money, you up?
Yo, how you doing, sir? Man, I'm here representing Devin Haney Promotions. We want to talk about making a fight with Teofimo Lopez. We know Devin Haney is recognized as the WBC world champion.
So, of course, y'all know damn well I'm about to like this match, right? Y'all know very well that this is not going to be a flyby. I'm not going to take too much time to toss a whole bucket on it. You know what I'm saying? But to Team Haney, who continues to allow the impotence of this individual to be on the front lines, to have the access to speak in your behalf, will always diminish the maximized value that you could have if you had somebody with competence. Why are you speaking to a sanctioning body and trying to make a fight with Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez? Why? What point is it going to make? He is not a promoter. You know, the last time he was on, he talked to Bob Arum. Bob Arum is 89 years old, on the cusp of 90. Has the fight being made again? I know that was about a different fighter, but now you're mentioning. It's almost like, what's that word they use? What's that use? Cloud chasing, as they say so much. What's that word? The cloud chasing. Because for one, Mauricio Suliman cannot do anything for Devin Haney to fight Teofimo Lopez. All this is doing is just a soundbite for more people to come out here and say something, to know that you jumped on there. It's becoming like you read Green Eggs and Ham, and you know what the book about it already. You know it's somewhat a child's book, but you just crack it open just to say, "Oh man, I haven't freaking read this in a long time." Okay, but I still know what it is from the cover. This is cover banter. That's all it is. We already know what's on the inside.
Like Floyd Mayweather was, like the legendary.
See, Floyd Mayweather will indeed continue to put a strain on the single identity and the proprietary of Devin Haney. It will continue to destroy it if you have individuals like this speaking for you and representing. It's no one that's on a corporate level will respect it. It doesn't matter if you're saying this particular person has energy. It's a lot of people that are considered malefactors in life that have good energy. There's a lot of people that's considered blaggards in life, mischievous individuals in life that has good energy. That's why they're who they are. They have that type of negative energy. So therefore, in order for them to get attention, they're going to continue to do it the same way. Now, me being 50, right? Prior military, retired, you're not going to accept my actions to go around here and continue to say the same thing. Why continue to say that Devin Haney is the next Floyd Mayweather? Why place that tag on him? Why don't we allow the boxing fans to see him perform inside the ring and earn those badges? That's all you have to say.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Bernard Hopkins, and he's doing a great job representing the WBC, and he wants to fight Teofimo Lopez for an undisputed.
So check this out. When you have individuals that when you ask them to quote their ABCs, and you know they're going to start off with A, B, C, and then they say, what's the next one? What's the next one? So this is what I get here, because if you rehearse shit over and over again, you say the same thing. And in the eyes of adults, myself, I don't expect you to believe that I'm going to tell you the same thing over and over again. It's just a level of understanding. When I'm speaking to another adult, I expect us to have a level of interpretation and competence and intelligence that we can speak about something different every time and still learn from it. But this right here, I cannot learn from, because for him to speak of those greats and then say that they want to fight Teofimo Lopez. But how many times does it change us up? The inconsistency. How is the brand going to grow when there's not consistency?
Unification bout.
I would love to see that fight. Devin Haney is very dear to me. I met him in Las Vegas. Don Majeskin, his father, brought him to my room when he was an amateur fighter. And we had an immediate friendship born from that day.
The next Floyd Mayweather. He needs a dancing partner, whether it's Ryan Garcia, which is his mandatory. So that's a fight that the WBC is mandating next for Devin Haney.
Which one is it going to be? Really, I'm asking all of you. Which one is it going to be? Do you want to fight Teofimo Lopez, or do you want to come out here and go on script as far as to your cue cards? We already know what the mandate is. We already know who's the mandatory that called out another champion. We already know what that is. You're telling boxing fans already what we know. You say you want Tio, but yet you're mandating. You're speaking about mandating Ryan Garcia as a mandatory. We already knew that before he was heading in there with Luke Campbell. What the winner would be, what position they was had. We knew this shit already.
Ryan Garcia, is that correct?
Yes, the winner of Campbell Garcia, as well as
that appreciate you, H.
Hold up.
A great star in the sport, because there are many great fights to be made in the lightweight division.
Yes, Devin Haney is considered to be the next Floyd Mayweather. He needs a dancing partner, whether it's Ryan Garcia, which is his mandatory. So that's a fight that the WBC is mandating next for Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia, is that correct?
Yes, the winner of
So why present this to the president though? Why?
Happened. He's the real champion, not Teofimo Lopez.
Appreciate you.
Well, this is like, once again, this is damn rudimentary type outburst. That's all I can say to that, man. You know what I'm saying? What I speak on is what I speak on, man. But do I hold myself accountable before I hold others? Absolutely. But this right here, telling the WBC president that on the out doesn't make any sense to the brand of Team Haney. It makes absolutely no sense at all. I'm just going to be honest with you. It makes absolutely no sense to say that another guy is a champion of Teofimo. Now, let me tell you something, and I have to mention, something what Tay Jones said, right? He was on the phone earlier. All right. So Teofimo Lopez is indeed a unified champion. And a lot of people have to consider him as being the undisputed champion too. All right. So with Devin Haney being in the position, and listen to me when I say this, and I want to hear your input on this, right? Hearing what you just heard, and then him closing out that Devin Haney is this, and this. As a boxer, if you have to have a mouthpiece to attempt to convince the general public as to your position in boxing, then obviously you're not doing something right. If you need someone to hype and get on and get behind the mic and say who Devin Haney is, then you're not doing your job. Because all the ones that have been great that he mentioned, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Bernard Hopkins, they don't need people to hype them up. They didn't need people to hype them up as far as them being in a certain position in boxing and for the public to identify them as that. They don't need it. They let their performance speak for themselves. But this is a good question dealing with the franchise belt. Yeah, initially Mauricio was frustrated when asked by Nestor about how would a champion be identified as undisputed if he doesn't have the WBC world strap, right? And then for Mauricio to say, well, the franchise champion is incapable of losing his title, losing his or her title. You know what I'm saying? If they lose, they don't lose the franchise belt. And also they can become undisputed without fighting for the world strap. He basically implemented that wishbone in there, people. He implemented that wishbone into everything. It changes everything. If the title cannot be gained in a loss by the opposition, then it's an advantage for the holder, which is the active franchise champion. Also, if by chance the active franchise holder wins the remaining 3 belts other than the WBC world title, they are titled the undisputed champion. That is without holding all the straps, all legitimate mandated straps that we've grown up with. Now, people have to understand, all these belts was not included as boxing began to grow. All these championships, they added these belts periodically as boxing began to grow in the sport and mature. I understand certain aspects of what Mauricio is talking about. He's saying that we're doing away with tradition and moving towards innovation. That's what Mauricio said. I totally agree with him, moving away from tradition and more towards innovation. I think this rubs people and becomes inflammatory because Devin Haney is the one that's involved. And a lot of people, enjoy having their house guests on deck, Bill Haney, to speak about Devin Haney. But this is what a solid point that Tay Jones made. Tay Jones say, well, being that this is just one division, what happens when Teofimo Lopez moves to 140? What happens to the franchise belt? What happens? So I look at it in this perspective after thinking about it, right? So when Teofimo Lopez moves to 140, it would be the same as Canelo moving up to super middleweight. But it was a good point that he made. It's like, who's going to get the franchise belt at 135? My answer is no one. Now it comes into play that sooner or later, when the months compile and stack on one another, time go by and the hourglass keep on expiring, flipping itself over, and we in 2022 will, at that point in time, Mauricio Suliman create more pages to the format, so we can kind of understand some structural organization to this franchise belt. Is Mauricio Suliman, will he increase his administrative duties to allow this binder to become more proficient when it comes to boxing? That's what we want to know. Because right now, Teofimo Lopez leaves the 135-pound division. Devin Haney is not the franchise belt holder. Canelo has left 60 and went to 68. He's still the franchise. He's able to move, come and go as he sees fit. So do you think Teofimo is not going to allow himself to have that same opportunity and same favoritism allotted to him to be able to move as he sees fit with the green spoon? Yes. Another good point Tay made. Tay said, well, is it a point in where Mauricio can mandate Teofimo Lopez to fight Devin Haney? And my response to that was, if the franchise belt is here, so the champion does not have to recognize his mandatory, nor does he have any obligation to face him. That would be going against the structure for which he's trying to build. So that would be absolutely asymmetric for him to say, hey, I'm mandating Devin Haney to fight Teofimo Lopez because he has a WBC belt. That was the entire process of him allowing Canelo to be presented with the first ever belt. And this is another good point that I have to give Tay a salute. When it came to Canelo Alvarez, the question was asked on Barbershop, who all requested? And he said Canelo, Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez. It was mentioned that they all requested. I didn't have the whole interview on this soundbite. They all requested, right? So what Tay mentioned, say, okay, how could Canelo Alvarez request the franchise belt when the franchise belt wasn't even out yet? No one even knew about the belt. So my response to him was, it was predetermined. They was coming out with the franchise belt. Canelo's his favorite fighter. So they came out with it and designated Canelo Alvarez as the first franchise recipient. That was prevaricated. They knew the franchise belt was coming to the surface. So the first recipient was going to be Canelo Alvarez, which we know now. So if they requested it, how can you request something that's not even there yet? How? How can you request an entity that you haven't seen to be a part of? So the WBC was already speaking with Canelo Alvarez ahead of time. And like Mauricio said, he's earned his stripes, people. He's earned his freaking stripes. So Mauricio feels that Canelo has earned his stripes and he was the first initial recipient of the franchise belt. So this is another discussion we was talking about. So I said, okay, Tay, check this out. Maybe the quickest way that Devin Haney can get a hold to becoming undisputed is to drop the WBC belt. Why? Because that might allow him to be mandated in a sanctioning body, an alternative sanctioned body, to face Teofimo Lopez. Because with the WBC, just like I've been talking, I don't see people knocking on Fred's window, but I've said this. As long as you hold on to that WBC belt, it's going to become a larger and one of those it's going to become a larger blemish to who Devin Haney is. The longer he hold on to that belt. Why? Because you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere. It doesn't matter how long you continue to have individuals speak on your behalf. You're not gaining anything. In this particular case, by being second. This space between first and second is so huge that individuals are not recognizing the energy that they're putting forth is none and void. It's not going to matter. Believe me when I tell you this shit. It's not going to fucking matter. Fred said it himself. Devin is fucked. He's fucked. Real talk. People call it hate, but it ain't. It's just what it is. You became world champion. So you became interim champion and you became world champion. So now you want to stay in a single division and hope to fight Teofimo Lopez. Well, it's not beneficial if they're not going to recognize you as a mandatory or number one contender, because the franchise champion does not have that demanded obligation. So drop the belt and become a freaking mandatory elsewhere if you choose to stay around and wrangle a potential bout with Teofimo Lopez. But that in itself is damn near impossible, because Teofimo has made it perfectly clear that they plan on moving up to 140. So if you drop your belt, you will be fucked again, because they can just as well fight Kambosos, fight somebody else, and move and leave you there struggling now with no belt. So I would never recommend anyone to place themselves in a vortex of freaking stupidity by choice. But I will present options. And right now, the only reason why that option that I just mentioned might result in the failure is because it's already been said that Teofimo is basically, you and Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez has made it perfectly clear that they plan on moving up to 140. His dad said Teofimo's been competing in the lightweight division several years, and it's getting difficult for him to make 135. I was on deck when he did a shakeout into the AM, trying to knock out those pounds. I was there. Suliman live right now. WCS was super late with the franchise cruise situation. I agree, man. You know, listen, that's bullshit. Mauricio not immediately handing franchise cruise her WBC strap back. That was distasteful in my opinion. Why mention a female being gay or anything having to do with your decision to return a title after she tested dirty? What does it have to do with anything? That cannot be the template for justification. She popped dirty. So therefore, get off the title and return it to the rightful owner, the one who competed cleanly and ultimately won the fight, because she did win. She went in there against a dirty fighter. WBC was super late in returning franchise Cruz the Zern belt. They were also vigorously supportive of Jimenez. And that's the case. And that's why the racism is into play, right? Like I said before, I don't see him as being a racist individual. But, what was said to him, that particular individual felt that way. I never got the vibe from him. But can a person be biased and extremely biased and not racist? Of course. They can. Biasness and prejudice is sometimes confused with being racist. You can discriminate against someone just because you disagree with who they are as a person, their beliefs, or anything to that nature. But that doesn't mean you hate them. This is a single division that's stirring up boxing. And I'm telling you, as a leader, you have to make decisions that sometimes seem like you're going in reverse, but it isn't. It's basically redirection. And you're going another pathway to get to the pot of gold that you want to get to. Obviously, at 135 pounds, they weren't able to pick up the pot of gold. Team Lopez was. So when you have the mouthpiece telling people that Teofimo is not the champion, it doesn't matter. It has zero effect on what's out here. Zero effect. It don't matter if all the boxing community got together and have a conversation about it. You would still have a split room. It would still be individuals that's unsure on how to treat this. Because at the end of the day, Teofimo Lopez did what he's supposed to do. I have a video. Of when Teofimo Lopez was saying he was going the WBC route. At one point in time in Team Lopez's career, they said they was going the WBC route. And I asked him, so is it in your plan? Before he said the WBC, is it in your plan to face Richard Comey? To go the WBC route and face Richard Comey for the IBF, pick up a couple of straps or whatever the case. He said it's definitely in our plans, to go the WBC route. And of course, face Richard Comey. Because Richard Comey has the IBF strap. But as time went along, they looked at the catastrophe of being over there in a failed WBC setup as far as a potential boxing tournament. And they say, you know what? We need to go elsewhere. If we go this pathway and fight this, it might be a tougher roadway. It might be a little bumpy. But that's what it comes down to when you want to be respected as fighting the best in your division. The road might be a little bit bumpy. There might be obstacles. In this particular case, the one that was built the toughest, in my opinion, was Teofimo Lopez. Because Devin Haney was out with a shoulder injury, and Teofimo Lopez continued to drive forward, facing the Nakatanis, Comeys, and then Lomachenko in 2020. So what does it make? What point does it make to continue to say, out the door, screaming and yelling with a pom-pom that Devin Haney is the true champion? Who cares? The belt has been diminished. The belt is pretty much in the same visual as Riddick Bowe tossed that WBC belt in the trash. It is holding the same residue. I'm serious, bro. I know Devin Haney hasn't tossed the WBC belt in the trash, but when it comes down to how people are looking at it right now, when it comes to the value, the appraisal, what it means in the sport, You can compare it to the Sugar Ray Leonards and Muhammad, all that. It doesn't matter. Why? Because the president of the WBC is telling you that he is moving away from traditional to innovation. That means, like I told you all before in the live, you have to prepare yourself for change. For change, y'all. For change. You have to prepare yourself for change. Just like we don't fight 15 rounds. The highest is 12. It was done for a reason. Just like we thought we would never have replay in basketball. Just like we never thought there would be some sort of replay in football for this time or with this amount of minutes left. Things are changing, y'all. So therefore, why are you all acting like this is the only sport in the world that haven't or will not be subjected to the changes? You're not going to be receptive to the changes. You have to be receptive. You have to understand that just one individual has nothing to do with civil rights. You can't make this a black Hispanic thing. When I'm out here saying, don't make it a black Hispanic thing. Don't do that. You can't sit up here and denigrate Teofimo Lopez like he didn't throw hands for 3 bouts. You cannot do that man like that. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. And I wish a motherfucker would call me a coon. You cannot sit up here and believe that not looking at something for the value what it is and speaking on it in the most honest way possible. You cannot tell me that Teofimo Lopez didn't take a tougher route than Devin Haney, but yet Devin Haney still lacks the credentials on his resume. And also he lacks the acknowledgement of the WBC strap he's holding as being something comparable to the franchise belt Teofimo has right now. You can't sit up here and prove it because shit is changing. We didn't even know that the franchise belt could be transferable until the shit happens with Teofimo. Who gives a fuck if he requested it? So I heard a brother get on here. Listen, I heard a brother mention that Teofimo Lopez received the belt. Once again, my brothers, you have to pay attention, some of y'all, that Teofimo Lopez received the belt via email because he requested, and then come to find out they say Bob Aaron requested it. Either way it goes, Teofimo Lopez was not designated the franchise champion until he defeated Lomachenko. So how can you receive a belt via email when you actually fought for the title? How? HOW. How can you not understand that? How can that be a belt via email if you actually contended to receive the belt awarded to you in victory? How in the fuck is it via email? Y'all need to stop trying to base this off extreme prejudice just because you want to boost up another fighter. That's not something I would tolerate. I'm not going to sit up here and tolerate some bullshit like that. Because look, anybody that look like me, I would tell them all the time like it was told to me. If you want to make the calls, be in the position to make the calls. In order for that to happen, your moves have to mean something. The moves you make in life have to mean something. When you're in certain positions in the military, everything and all the decisions you make, you have to make sure it's beneficial to your unit. If by chance that particular decision falls through or fall out, you have to go to plan B, C, D, and E. You have to have an alternative. That's why it's called planning. You just can't go off one. And right now, I believe Devin Haney went off. Devin Haney Promotions, Devin Haney as a fighter, and Team Haney in general, they had one fucking plan. And when it comes to my people, I will always tell you that we have to have more than one plan. And we just can't buckle up when we see something that's all the way fucked up and it's affecting us, we can't just sit there and say, no, we're just going to let this pass over. We're just going to let this shit pass over. You cannot sit up here and just wait for shit to pass. Sometimes when the storm is still above your motherfucking head, you have to damn turn around and say, you know what? Let's go this way. Of course you want to fight with Teofimo Lopez. Of course. Of course. I can tell you what. If that was Devin Haney with those straps, everybody be like, oh, T.O., this is being a hater. They're being a hater. He just mad because he's sitting over there with a belt and Devin Haney is a unified champion. I bet we won't be talking about the fighters of past greats who have held that strap. If Devin Haney was in the position, I know we won't be talking about this shit. We won't be talking about it. They'll be talking about, oh man, he's the best. He's Floyd. Man, I wish my people would stop comparing others to others. Compare them to themselves. Allow them to be great with their own candlelight. Why you keep putting an individual in a silhouette instead of allow them to halo themselves? Because they can only make that shit brighter as life goes along. They themselves, not putting them in the silhouette of Floyd Mayweather, who has done amazing feats and credentials in boxing. Why is this mouthpiece and others continuing to compare Devin Haney to Floyd? Why? You're doing this man a disservice. He isn't Floyd. Devin Haney is not Floyd Mayweather. Floyd is Floyd Mayweather. Devin Haney is Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez is Teofimo Lopez. If you don't want to identify him as, what's going on, Retro Bob? What's good? If Teofimo Lopez, per the WBC president, is being identified as a unified champion, then what's next? Fred said it himself, man. It's nothing for Devin Haney to do. What is next? Keep on jumping on everybody's interview and saying, and Devin Haney promotion, he's the champion. It doesn't matter. That shit's not gonna change anything, bro. Let's be smart. Let's increase our intelligence through acceptance. Let's increase our intelligence through acceptance, man. We have to accept the fact that Team Haney did not make the moves. I provided you an alternative pathway. If you plan on leaving the 135-pound division and you're young in the game, you have all these divisions accessible in your landscape, your boxing landscape, right? I suggest that if you don't have a clear understanding that Team Lopez will recognize you as a future opponent and make that shit official, then you should show people. Remember, WCS said this shit. You should show people, your fans or anybody else, that you're able to make a decision that doesn't look good initially. But as long as you understand what you're trying to do is going to be successful, do it. Drop the belt, go to another division. Because that is the ultimate direction. Where are all these fighters at 35 headed? A lot of them are headed to a higher division in the future. So why not make the decision first, bro? Let your fans know that you're able to be a leader and not a follower. Because right now, being a follower is where you at right now. You parked in the garage. You waiting. I remember when we was all at Floyd Mayweather's fight on Thursday, and it was a packed house, man. Everybody was there. TMT, Floyd Mayweather put on the card. Everybody. You saw everybody on that. J Love, Carissa, Habidi, Watson, the entire family, Michael Williams Jr., myself, Devin Haney, T.O., Fred Barbershop, Boxing Guru, everybody was on fucking deck. Ellie. I mean, this was in a smaller venue and it was packed. But what I'm trying to say about that specific interview was that Devin Haney made it a point to say that I'm a promoter. Teofimo Lopez, he gets a purse, but I get money on the back end. I'm a promoter. I make my own calls. He was trying so hard to allow us to believe that he was indeed a businessman. He was in control of his career. That sounds good, but it looks bad when you're signed to the zone. Retro Bob TV, salute to you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your donation, my brother. Let me read you. I agree with you on almost everything, but not the innovation part. Suliman is biased and racist, but you're right. This is what they signed up for. Okay, I mean that's your OP, my brother. I'm not here to scratch and claw on if he's racist or not. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, other people's experience may be quite different from mine. You know what I'm saying? Other people's views may be different from mine. That's the way it is. But I respect what you put up there, Retro Bob. You know what I'm saying? But this is the point I'm trying to make with Haney when he made that situation. I'm looking at Teofimo Lopez, listening to all this shit, about them talking about sparring. And then Devin Haney say, well, he hopes he gets Lomachenko before Teo. Both him and Teofimo Lopez feels that Lomachenko is on the decline, overrated, whatever the case may be. Once again, Devin Haney putting it out there that, Teofimo Lopez couldn't touch him, this, that, and the other. And Teofimo has been on record saying that Devin Haney was just popping the jab out there and running the whole time. He wasn't good working sparring. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't good work at all. Him and his dad was just talking shit the whole time. And he felt like it was just a conversation. And that shit happens in sparring all the time. Who am I to gripe and complain about that shit? I wasn't in the ring. But that's the worst of Teofimo, right? So at that time, both of these individuals were obviously outside the level they at now. You know what I'm saying? They was outside, y'all. They was outside. But what I did see with Teofimo Lopez, he allowed Devin to fire his shots. And sometimes he just nodded his head. He said, okay, all right. Okay. All right. But what I will say about Devin Haney, Fred asked some questions about Devin Haney. If you're a 10, then what is Teofimo? And then Devin didn't quite understand. He just abort mission. He said, it's a hypothetical. He said, I don't know that. That shit was hilarious though. But listen, it's also good to have confidence. But when it comes to this boxing game, you're not gonna ever convince me that you're a leader when you're reacting to a situation where you're trying to be in. A situation you're trying to be in, you're reacting. You want others to attempt to be in your position, your situation. You want them knocking at your door, but that's not the case. You're basically driving around sporadically, just trying to get in the same motherfucking lane. You're trying to get in the same lane. Just because you're in the division doesn't mean you're in the same lane. You're not in the same lane as Teofimo Lopez right now. He has the whole carload of belts. He can pull up next to you while you dancing on top of your luxury SUV. He can take all of them out and put them in your shit and let you take pictures with him. But guess what? At the end of the day, when he leave, he's going to say, I'm going to get my straps back, shawty. You post them shits on IG, they say, oh, man, look at Devin Haney with all those straps. Oh, we didn't know Teofimo dropped by. People are going to look at you like, well, we know Teofimo is the unified champion. He's the undisputed lightweight champion. It don't matter if you take a picture with the belts. What the fans understand is Devin Haney is not the unified champion. Now, therefore, How many times are you going to call out Javier Fortuna, which Mauricio said, well, Javier Fortuna and Luke Campbell fell out? How many times are you not going to recognize that the WBC tournament in which they was trying to put on was a catastrophe? It was a catastrophe, yo. So if Team Lopez knew that, we out, we ain't fucking with that WBC shit. We're not promised Lomachenko. We're not promised. Somehow, some way, man, the light bulb popped in. They said, we're going the IBF route. We're going to work ourselves up to the IBF route. We need a strap. The same we can say about Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford say, I want a motherfucking belt. Yeah, I'm calling him out, but guess what? I'm going to go for Jeff Horn. A lot of people don't give Jeff Horn respect, but yeah, he was undefeated and he had a belt. Fuck it. The belt means something. You can say Jeff Horn, the holder, doesn't mean anything, but the belt holds something. So therefore, T.O. did what he was able to do. Tough fight. Took the next challenge, smashed him. And Comey, shout out to Comey. He's a good dude. And then on top of calling Lomachenko a bitch in the media, at the media scrum, he still got the fight. He still got the fight. It wasn't no, no. And not only did he get the fight, this is what's so precious about the decision when I say being a leader. A person like Bill Haney may look at me and say, you know what? I don't respect anything he say because he don't support my son like that. And I would say, okay, cool. But sooner or later up the road, you might reflect back on what I said. And in your own comfort zone, you might agree to say, okay, now I get it. Because I'm coming from a military point of view that all deals with the same thing Bill has going on right now, decision making. When you want to be in charge of something, you have to have some type of control, some type of authority, right? Devin Haney has no fucking authority in the lightweight division. He holds one strap. And you know why he doesn't have any authority, nor will he receive any more authority? Javier Fortuna will not insert any more authority to Devin Haney. It's because all the other straps are in the hands of Teofimo Lopez. We are not talking about a Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez. We're not talking about Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. We're not talking about Jamel Charlo, Patrick Teixeira. We're not talking about Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant and BJS. We're not talking about Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. We're talking about the lightweight division where Devin Haney cannot. He's waiting around. He cannot because he's homestand. He's buckled up in the WBC and he's afraid to let go of the motherfucking title. If you want to prove to the boxing people that you about that journey, call up the other sanctioned bodies and see, okay, what will happen if I came here? How can we make this happen? How can we make that happen? But you're steadily trying to call out what's directly in front of you. You want to hold tight on somebody else's schedule, which you're also saying you only have so many fights remaining. So how are you going to move? How are you going to progress? You know, you need to ask yourself, man, fuck the fuck, man. I don't know what I can tell you, man. Black people say, okay, we don't help one another out. I'm trying to give some guidance, you know, and you saying you only have so many fights left in the lightweight division. But yet you think, you know, continuing to cry and whine about the devaluation of your belt is going to change Mauricio Suliman's opinion. It won't. To the Haney's, Loma was a hype job. But talk about 39 years old Gamboa as if he was pound for pound. Listen, bro, You ain't never lied, dog. Listen. When they was up here dogging the fuck out of Gamboa when he fought Gervonta Davis. Once again, leadership. Did you not know Gamboa was your future opponent? I know it was a year in between, about 11 months, right? But when you was out there dogging out and talking shit on Twitter, did you not have an indication that Gamboa may potentially be your future opponent? Because the way they put it is that no one wants to fight Devin Haney. But looking at his record, he has 25 victories, so that's a lie. Who is the nobodies? The top tier names don't want to fight you because you have 25 victories to your resume that no one respects. So did you know when you was dogging out Gamboa for being an old ass man facing Gervonta, did you have an understanding that, hey, Pops, is Gamboa going to be, do you think we're going to pick Gamboa? You think he's going to be shit? You know what I mean? Come to find out after you don't sit up there and talk that shit, now Gamboa is your next opponent. When you was dogging the man out for being old, groggle, antiquated, dated, whatever you want to put, elderly, you pick him up as an opponent and say you're going to finish him and do him dirty like no other fighter has ever did. And then in the end, you disrespect yourself and say, I just wanted to prove to the people. I wanted to pitch a shutout. I can't respect that. I won't respect that because I would have respected it more if you just said, I fought my heart out. You know what I'm saying? I did what I had to do. I dominated the fight. On to the next. Now you capping. People calling you out on the capping, but you can't sit up here and play a fool and say, oh, I'm only going to hold WCS accountable because he's a hater. Ain't nobody buying that shit. It doesn't matter how many channels pull up to the corral and say, wow, man, shoot. How's everybody? Howdy. What we looking at right here? Is this the corral, the Devin Haney corral? Can I join in? I got a nice little stallion over here. I got my own saddle and everything. Got me a brand new 10-gallon, some nice spurs on my feet. Can I just jump on this wagon right quick? What's next for you all? To be honest, my good brother, I don't know what's next for us, my good brother, because that's why we're going around in a circle right now, my good. I don't know what's next, my. They say Javier, they say T.O., they say Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? And now they back to Javier Fortuna. We don't know. That's why we corral and we just going around in a circle. So when do you think you're gonna straighten up? Straighten up and go to the next town and let's see a fight. We here to see a fight. All these horses and we have everything we need. Let's go to the next town. We want to see some progress. We need to make this shit pop, man. People are not going to continue to stand in one spot while y'all going around in a circle talking about who's the real champion and who's not. I think Retro Bob has said he don't agree with the innovation. As long as I've been in boxing, bro, I have to agree with the innovation, bro. I have to agree with the innovation. The reason being is that this is not the first time that the rules of boxing have changed. I think a lot of people are paying more attention to this because of the pandemic, and we're not able to see the fights. If the pandemic was absent and we're able to visit these fights, I don't think too many people would be paying attention to YTBC the way they have been. Seriously. Because we have a lot more seat time right now. We have a lot more seat time because, we're not able to travel to these fights like we used to. We can't pack in and say we're going to this fight next week and that fight the week after. We can't do it. So we're basically zoned in to the YTBC media. D-Ray in the building was good. IB was good. He said, I don't feel sorry. He said, I don't feel sorry for Haney at all. He was feeling himself a little bit too much. We forgot the apology after saying he wasn't going to lose to a white boy. So I look at it like this as a black man, right? I said what I had to say on that. And this was my take in response. I say, how can you say you're never going to lose to a white boy when you can't even fight one? Second of all, the supposed quote unquote white boy he's talking about is Lomachenko. So if by chance you say you're not going to lose to a white boy, then try to make the fight with the white boy. No, your pops already said that y'all not trying to fight Lomachenko. So when TBV asked him, so when you was with Bob Arum, did you ask about Vasil Lomachenko? Crickets, quiet, quiescent. Mom, no, we want to fight T.O. So when days go by, it went from T.O. to Ryan Garcia. Okay, Ryan Garcia, the mandatory for Devin Haney, like we just heard today, y'all mandated the mandatory Ryan Garcia face Devin Haney, right? As black people, we seem desperate. I want you to seem like you in a position and you know what the fuck you want. You seem desperate. Your mandatory won't even acknowledge you. What difference is it going to make if he jumps on here and say, Ryan Garcia is Devin Haney's mandatory, correct? So if he says correct, how many months does he have to enforce it? What does it matter? Because the mandatory fight isn't going on next week, next month. We have what is considered to be fight camps. Ryan Garcia just finished a fight with Luke Campbell. How long do you believe that he has before he's supposed to step in the ring with Devin Haney? How long? Is it 2-3 weeks? Why are we talking about a mandatory of Ryan Garcia who did not even call Devin Haney name out first to face him? That's a lack of respect. They don't even acknowledge you. Look, I don't ever want to see anybody like Devin Haney, Bill Haney, going through the amount of disrespect they receiving in boxing and in a sport that they're trying to prove to the people that they're one of the best teams out there, and his son is one of the greatest. Is going to be one of the greatest. You can't prove that when you're not making decisions. My people, I want to see y'all making decisions. If you can't make a decision, how the fuck are you going to be in front? Haney needs to do as UFC Justin Gaethje after he destroyed Tony Ferguson. He did not accept the belt and throw the belt to the side and said he wanted to get the real belt from Khabib. That's honor. Once again, truth. I would agree with that. But one thing about that truth, in order for Justin Gaethje to make that command decision, he has to have courage. He has to have courage. His mind has to be open enough to see what the reward is going to be. I was there when he said nope. Immediately. It was immediate. It wasn't no hesitation. He said, nope, that's not the belt I want. I want the real belt. I'm not going to put that around my waist. I want the real belt. Even though he had just came off a very, tough performance against Tony Ferguson, winning, he said, I don't want the belt. I want the one Khabib has. That's the strap. That's what I want. But I think with Team Haney, I don't believe they understand that certain decisions mean believing that what you have, you believe it holds that value that you need. You know, you believe you have a bargaining chip in keeping the belt. So that's why they don't have the courage to say, you know what, this bargaining chip ain't worth shit. It's a peso at the end of the day. This bargaining chip, this WBC belt is a peso. So we need to do something else. So in order for us to do something more with it, we need to redirect and go a different route. If we have enough time on the calendar to get Teofimo Lopez, we need to go a different route, because right now, Teofimo Lopez has the halt, has the stop sign up. He has the franchise belt. Even though green means go, for Devin Haney, it means red means stop. Devin Haney cannot do anything in the lane of the WBC sanctioning body, because Teofimo Lopez has the belt that says stop. The only person that is allowed to be green is Teofimo Lopez. It means go for him to do what the fuck he wants to do. He don't have to acknowledge his mandatory. So when it comes to time for him to move up to 140, it should be the same thing as Canelo Alvarez. What are they going to do? Teofimo Lopez has preferential treatment when he decides to move up to 150. That is the knight on the chessboard. That's what I'm trying to explain to Team Haney. You need to put yourself in a position on the chessboard for the next division. And I don't have a problem with giving, because I surf around. I surf around, right? I surf around certain channels. I don't have a problem with giving certain channels their recognition. But Punch Drunk did mention a while back, that's not why I'm speaking on relinquishing the belt. But I have to give a salute to Punch Drunk for saying, well, Team Haney, if the belt don't mean anything, you need to get off the belt. You need to get off the belt. It means nothing. Get off the belt and find an alternative route. If not, go to 140. He did mention that. But what I'm mentioning is the fact that decision making. You have to understand, when Teofimo Lopez goes to 140, you're still going to be playing catch up. Because if indeed he's able to leave 35 and get a title shot immediately, Team Haney, if you're not able to emulate the same, then you're playing catch up at the second division. When I'm telling you, abort mission. You've earned a title. You're recognized. It's on your chest, your chest plate. Move up to 140 and start fight your opponent and start working your way up to a title shot. If you want your name attached to Floyd Mayweather, then stop having your name attached to Teofimo Lopez, bro. How many times I got to tell you? Teofimo Lopez is in your same class who's trying to establish a legacy like yourself, bro. So it makes no damn difference if somebody trying to compare you to Floyd Mayweather when your name is attached to Teofimo Lopez. And if you stay there long enough, your name going to continue to be attached to Teofimo Lopez when you move up to junior welterweight. You might find some type of FACTS in that shit. But right now, nobody's comparing you to Floyd. But the comparison is the attachments you have to Teofimo Lopez, who is above, who sits at a higher tier championship-wise than you do. That's what it is, people. Richard said, I'm not questioning innovation. I'm questioning Suliman's motive behind it. I do agree with what you said about black fighters not. See, with that, okay, now we get deep into the semantics of why someone is doing what they're doing. And we must understand there, Richard Bob, that's the president of the WBC, big dog. His motives, check this out, his motives behind it, it may be ulterior. It may be bias. It may be some prejudice behind it to benefit a certain fighter. Of course, everything that comes with change is to benefit something. Seriously, bro. Everything that deals with change has to be a benefit of something. Someone or somewhat is going to benefit from that change. So of course he may have motives. Of course, like Tay said, how can Canelo Alvarez request the franchise belt when it wasn't even out yet? We're not talking about a pair of Jordans. How can you request a franchise belt when it hasn't even been placed on a fighter yet? It's not even recognized. It's not even buoyant on the surface. Canelo Alvarez was the first recipient. How can you request it? Because they already knew. They talked with Canelo Alvarez. He earned his stripes. That's Mauricio's favorite fighter. Guess what? He blessed him as being the first to do it. And you know what? I'm trying to tell Team Haney to be the first to do it. But sometimes when people believe that they're making money, even Mauricio Suliman mentioned this, right? When someone believes they have a bargaining chip, even though that bargaining chip is a peso, Mauricio Suliman said it. When comparable to the franchise belt, that belt that Devin Haney is allowing him to make millions of dollars. So Mauricio is telling you right there, he don't give a fuck about trying to build your legacy, but you are feeding your family. Do you see the picture why some people may be considering Mauricio to be a bit racist or biased or prejudiced or whatever you want to say? Do you see that? Because with Canelo Alvarez, it allows him to move and flow, ebb and flow as he see fit. That's legacy shit. And also he's attached to the money. Vasyl Lomachenko, he really didn't have an opportunity to do anything, but yet he was a unified champion. He was able to not face his mandatory. And once again, I would just ask of those individuals that continue to say that Devin was his mandatory. I mean, continue to say that false shit. That's a false ass narrative. Find paperwork to say that shit was signed on. When the WBC tournament, Mauricio has said, hey, guess what? You're not promised to get Lomachenko. You're not promised. So why would you sit up here and act like you want to say that off your lips all the time? Devin Haney, he was a mandatory. Lomachenko ducked him. I had to do my own research on that. But now with the bargaining chip, right? I ain't gonna lie, it kind of falls into a lot of stereotypes what they say about us. It does. And I'm within my right to speak as a black man about it. I don't speak for all of us, but I'm speaking for me. When it comes down to having a bargaining chip and you feel that you didn't hear what Mauricio said about Devin is making millions with that belt, but yet we're not recognizing the optic to see what's in front of us, to saying, damn, our goal is to build a legacy. We have other divisions ahead of us. So the stereotype is, well, I'm making millions. I'm just gonna stay right here where I'm comfortable. I got the belt. This is my bargaining chip. I can continue to fight whoever, the nobodies, and continue to make some money so I can have enough to the freaking put on Instagram. What about legacy though? Because right now, Teofimo Lopez, legacy-wise, he's able to make money. But with Devin Haney, you're basically extracting and diminishing your legacy, but yet it's all about the money. That's a stereotype they have with us. Just give them a little bit of money so they can be quiet. Give them a little bit of money so they can stay in place. Have the people around them boost them up. But really, it don't matter how much the people talk good about Devin Haney. if you're not progressing in the sport for legacy and all it is about money for you, then continue to make money because that's soon going to run out too. People are going to see it for what it is. When you want to be Teofimo, when you want to be the Canelo Alvarez and be able to go around and do what the fuck you wanted to do, yeah. If Devin Haney was in this position and able to make the decision and go from the vision to the vision, doing what the fuck he want, then people would be all quiet. Yes, Devin Haney is the Floyd Mayweather of boxing. Look at him, his legacy. Devin Haney has no legacy right now. Teofimo does. Loma is a good fighter, but he was hyped up at 135. We know Gamboa was in there to get whooped. He actually survived and fight again, though. Saying Gamboa is past his prime is an understatement. Absolutely, bro. Check the box on that. Check the box. This is my thing, right? When it comes to temporaries. And anybody heard me say this word, a temporary, in my opinion, is beneath a casual. A temporary is a people that just, they might flick over to box and then they keep it moving. Shit. What? Okay. You know what I'm saying? They might blink a couple of times. All right, shit, let me go. I'm not really interested in looking at that. People have to get out their head to say that Teofimo Lopez fought 130 pounder. Now, this is where I have to call you extremely acutely delusional with a smidgen of ignorance. I have to say you're acutely delusional because they're going to try to continue to bash Teo and say that he ain't did shit and say he fought 130 pounder. When, check this out, when they was praising him for beating Rigondeaux because he was a two-time gold standard Olympian and he was moving up and he was undefeated. No, hold up. Then we're overlooking the fact that Lomachenko was unified at the 135-pound division. Unified, people. He was unified. It takes all that shit away when he's unified. Vasyl Lomachenko was a belt away. A belt away from putting all this shit to bed. Lomachenko's selfishness allowed for all this disaster to play out. Now rock with WCS on this bullshit. Rock with me. Listen to what I'm telling you. Vasyl Lomachenko was a belt away from clearing up all this shit. All he had to do was fight Teofimo Lopez. That's all he had to do. Unifications trumps, don't they? Don't unification trump shit? Don't they always talk about unification trumps this, unification trumps that, unification trump this, right? So when he defeated Luke Campbell, what was the only belt remaining out there for him to get? The IBF title, right? All he had to do was fight when he had the WBC, WBA, WBO. All he had to do was fight fight Teofimo Lopez. That's all he had to do. It would have cleared all this up right now, and we wouldn't even be talking about this every other week. Because the person, whoever won that, whether it be Teofimo Lopez or Vasyl Lomachenko, they would have been undisputed. Fuck all that Devin Haney belt shit. But a lot of people were selfish in this particular scenario. Lomachenko was selfish because they requested the franchise belt. Mauricio Suliman was selfish because he allowed it to happen. Because Vasyl Lomachenko never defended the WBC strap. So to stop all the chaos, all he had to do was face Teofimo Lopez the same way he did with the franchise belt. That's all you had to do. Left Devin Haney over there with the interim. That's all you had to do. But they was probably thinking, damn, if you fight for a vacant WBC title, you got 6 months to face your mandatory. Oh my God. Oh my God. You could have cleared all this shit up, bro. You did. You could have cleared all this shit up. But no, he decided to basically become a franchise and then elevate and destroys Haney. Look, destroy Haney's 35-pound reputation, 135-pound reputation. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much tarnish his reputation in the sense where people seen him not do a damn thing with the franchise belt. And then he ended up facing Teofimo Lopez, who he could have fought when he had the WBC title. And we could have made this shit all worthwhile. We would have had all the straps in one fighter's possession. So therefore, just say Teofimo Lopez defeats Lomachenko, then it might have been a different damn song. Then it would have came and been a whole different song, man. And not so much for Devin Haney. Because, you know, it's a different timeline. If you fight for the motherfucking, you fight a champion for the WBC belt, vice fighting for a vacant WBC belt, it's a different timeline for you to face your damn mandatories. I just think it would have provided a bit more clarity instead of it being fragmented and Lomachenko becoming franchise and then Devin Haney being elevated via email and all this shit just playing out the way it is and hear me talking on here for over 2 hours. I'm just saying, like, I'm being honest with you, bro. It could have prevented a lot of shit. We wouldn't have to hear people jumping on here. Devin Haney is the title holder. He's the real champion, not Tio. Well, look, let's do math for those of you that understand just simple mathematics. Let's sit up here and do simple mathematics. What number is a higher value than the other? 3 or 1? Which word holds more value? Unified or divisional champion? A single division champion? 4-time or 2-time? Which number holds a higher value? Either way it goes, if you're not equal or higher, you're losing. And that should be said about Team Haney. King Mitch say, Loma's a good fighter. Okay, I read that. Good point. Let me put this up here. It's a peso, bro. Devin Haney's belt is a peso at the end of the day, man. You can't even bring that to a game of tunk and say, you know what? If I was playing some tunk and Devin Haney walked up on me and the fellas playing some tunk, I'd be like, hey, check this out. What's good, man? I know you got the money. You want to get in? He said, okay. He run out of money. He said, you know what? Man, I want to put my WBC belt up, man. I want to bet that. Say, no, man, that shit don't have no value. You can't put that. We need the cash dollar, dog. We need some damn coins. You know what I'm saying? Even Mike Tyson saw the lack of courage, confidence, or dog in Haney, had him repeat, I'm the greatest fighter in the world, but you're the champ. You can't question Tank, Tio, or even Garcia. Man, I'm telling you, man, they're doing themselves a disservice by comparing him to Floyd Mayweather. It's not good, man. Black people don't have to compare black people that are growing in life to other black people to justify who they are as individuals. If they're leaders, they're going to shine as leaders. Why do we have to continue to compare black people to other black people for justification, for acknowledgement? You don't. If you are intelligent and you are moving as you should, people will acknowledge you as such and put you in that position. You don't have to sit up here and well, so-and-so is like this. He's the next. Don't basketball players don't want to be compared to MJ. They want to be compared to themselves. Because at the end of the day, when your name pops up, you want them to say, hey, that was a bad boy, right? Hey. Yeah. They're not, you don't want them to say, well, if we want to talk about basketball players that came close to Michael Jordan and winning, you know, LeBron James, that's the closest. You can't compare LeBron James to MJ. You can't. LeBron James is LeBron James, period. Kyrie is Kyrie, goddammit. Loma took a shortcut and T.O. spoiled his plans. Mitch, check this out off what you just said, right? Lomachenko could have just fought Teofimo Lopez for the IBF belt. He already successfully defeated Luke Campbell for the WBC. 6 months, you would have had to see Devin Haney. But Lomachenko said, you know what? If I can get this franchise belt and fuck off, cool, I'll do it. So he picked up the franchise belt so he can make decisions to do what the fuck he wanted to do. He might have felt, look, you have followers though. He might have felt in seeing Canelo Alvarez doing what he was able to do, he might felt like, you know what? I want to do the same thing. I want to have that privilege too. So that's why he went into the match with a no rematch clause with Teofimo Lopez. That's why he felt that he would be the winner. He was feeling himself, and it didn't work out. So just like, Mitch said, hey, he took a shortcut, and T.O. spoiled everything because he probably felt like T.O. was, beneath him. You can definitely question Tank and T.O. and Garcia can be asked a million questions. You can definitely question Tank and T.O. and Garcia can be asking a million questions. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Mitch. What you mean by that? I'm just saying, bro, like real talk. Hit the like button, man. Hit the like button on WCS, man. I appreciate everyone who hit the like button coming through. And shout out to Fred from Barbershop Conversations. This was a frame, a audio frame from his interview with Mauricio Suliman. It wasn't the entire clip, okay? It wasn't, but I just basically extracted what I wanted for my recap. And be sure to check him out, man. He interviews some very solid individuals. Seriously, he has some damn good interviews over there, man. And Mauricio popping out the blue and having Bob Arum on there and a plethora of other personalities, man. That shit's on point, bro. That shit's on point. Who is this? Let's see. But yeah, we'll see what's going on, man. It is unfortunate that people just don't see it. They just want to hold on to things. I guess my mentality is all different because if I'm not able to, if I'm looking at the projective route that I'm trying to take and where it's going to lead me, and if it's a dead end or it's too much of an obstructive force along the way, I'm being impeded, and basically I'm trying to stay up. I'm trying to stay abreast or in front of my competition. Then you have to make another change. You can't be scared to get off something that you perceive as value and then go to a larger position. I mean, you take a different route to try to place yourself in a higher position so that you can make the calls and begin to regain that revenue that you thought you was making by standing strong in one particular spot. If you in that spot and you making money, you feel good about that, but yet you're not progressing in your legacy, then you should slap yourself. You should slap yourself because you should be making decisions to put yourself in front of the line so people can come see you. You don't want your name attached to Teofimo Lopez all the way up the welterweight. Somebody pass the word to them. Seriously. You know how many people are going to be moving up from 35 to 40 around the same damn time? Who has the higher legacy going to 40 right now? Teofimo Lopez. He does. So therefore, he's going to get preferential treatment. So he move up to 40. You don't want to be the one that people are saying, well, let's see if this fight happened. Because listen, it's not going to be as a close-knit unit as it is right now at 135. That's why I think Haney is staying so close because he's comfortable with believing he has the green strap and he's going to make money. Plus, they're tied in with Matchroom. They may be afraid to leave. Like we said today, they're looking for a dance partner. If that dance partner is not giving you that vibe that they're trying to dance with you, unless a default like their mandatory falls out, that should tell you that you are a secondary. You are the last resort. So what you need to do as a team, as a unit, you all need to move forward to a different pause and start building. You hear it. Start moving to a different position and start building. Leave Teofimo Lopez to do what he does at 35. When he chooses to come up to 140, he'll be there. But for you, Devin Haney, your legacy, if you're trying to be this great, you need to move up to 40 and face a champion. If Teofimo Lopez isn't going to give you the immediate or the secondary, and you're saying you're going to move out of lightweight division, then do it. Make the decision, move the damn junior welterweight, and start building. So by the time Teofimo get up there, he has to come see you. Just because y'all don't fight at lightweight isn't the end of the fucking world, man. Y'all have to know how to let go, man. Y'all have to know how to let go to increase your Wall Street. Let go of shit that's not even allowing your appraisal to increase in value. Let go of it. It doesn't matter if you have something there that's earning you money. You have to be fucking smart. What you think boxing is going to do when Team Haney says, you know what? We're leaving lightweight. We heading up to damn junior welterweight. We're going to start building up there. They're going to look at you like, oh, shit. They're not going to say Devin Haney was ducking Teofimo Lopez. They're not going to say that. You just let it be known. You know what? We're not going to chase Teofimo Lopez no more. We're going up to 140, and we're going to start building this motherfucking palace. We're going to even make more money because, like Bill says, Devin Haney is one of the greatest, right? So you prove to the world that he is. You move up the division, and you go up there and start fighting some solid names. All right? You pick up a strap. Whenever Teofimo Lopez decides to get up there and get his title shot, boom, y'all both champions. Devin Haney has defeated the champion to become champion this time. People start respecting him more, and people are going to start pushing for Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez. Why? Because the shit never happened at lightweight. They're not going to say Devin Haney was ducking. They're going to say Teofimo had his mandatory, and he was deciding on George Kambosos, and plus he was a franchise champion. So it will behoove everybody to understand the structural layout. For Devin Haney to go up there and place himself in the position of the WBA, IBF, and the WBO. Go. Hey, appreciate you, True. Appreciate you pulling up, big dog. Enjoy your evening, bro. Okay. I got you, Mitch. I got you. True say, if you got to sue in court to be recognized as WBC champion instead of being earned in the ring, say it's all entertainment. I mean, entitlement. You know what? I forgot to even touch on that. Like that's just crazy, man. You have to basically put yourself in a position to take it to court. Really? You want in your first division where you have not even earned a title by defeating the champion. You want to take it to court in one division? You are basically now, if you're saying that you have to, you're going to take it to court to force action, right? Now it makes you look worse than you ever could make, because now you're putting all this emphasis as a young fighter in the game, a young lion. You're going to basically say, I'm going to put everything into this one division when we have 40, 47, and 54 up there waiting. We have all those waiting. We have the rest of the boxing landscape and years on our life to go up here and worry about, but yet you're driven for one particular fighter. Wow. Why would you allow yourself to have him with all that power? Why would you allow yourself to give him all that power? Why, man? Leaders don't do that shit. You take that shit to court, man. You putting all your emphasis on Teofimo Lopez, man. All because he wants to show you attention. Do you see anybody else doing that to Canelo? Have Canelo not roamed the Serengeti as he see fit? Canelo, have you seen someone attempt to force him to fight them at 160? Why, Team Haney, are you not listening to me, bro? Just listen. I hope to God this is not true. I hope you're not trying to plan on going and put this into litigation to stop the sport of boxing. Because that's only going to tarnish your movement forward even more. That's only going to impede because you're trying to do this legacy thing. You haven't really started building your legacy yet. You haven't did anything that no one else has done. And if it's all about the money, okay, then make it about the money. Stop acting like you're trying to build a legacy. Just fight for the money. Fight anybody. Fight Luke Campbell, goddammit. Fight Javier Fortuna. Then after that, fight Luke Campbell. Then, after that, fight anybody else that's around at 135 pounds. Just make your millions, because that's what it seems like you might want to do. Don't leave the 135 pound division till you made about 6 million. That you can find some more shit to put on IG and dance around on vehicles. I'm gonna tell you, people. My people do some entertaining shit sometimes. And sometimes they do some damn dumb shit. Period. We do some dumb shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Damn. And Haney don't know what I'm talking about, man. He put that shit up there with him dancing on top of the same vehicle I put in my thumbnail. I'm like, so what are you saying? That's just like seeing my people squander stacks of freaking dollars in the strip club just to prove to the people you can throw away money. I refuse to mention any names because it's worthless. It's mention every name. But me, I'm gonna tell you how smart I was when I went to strip clubs, y'all. I had a certain amount of money that I was gonna come off of. Now I'm gonna tell you that some people 31s look like a lot of fucking money, dog. So when you're dispersing 31s, you take that shit out as a freaking mass block of monetary dollars, currency. You take that shit out like that. This shit look like a stack. All right, cool. All in ones, $30 to $50 worth of ones. Now, my plan was different. I would pinch off a certain amount of $1 bills that I wanted. And when it came time, I made sure that individual, the money was given to that particular stripper slowly and methodically so I can enjoy the dance. I just didn't go up there and let that shit rain. Boom, 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 boom. I'm up there looking stupid. I see one of my homeboys damn near run off half of his mortgage in under 10 minutes because he wanted to make it rain. I was like, damn, I bet she's gonna buy some nice motherfucking clothes with that shit. While I'm back here, I only put 51s, dog. That's it. Why sit up here and dance on a vehicle when you are trying to say you're the next Floyd Mayweather? I never seen Floyd dance on top of a motherfucking car like that. When people are saying that you're entitled, I believe it. Garcia is just starting to believe in himself. Oscar still doesn't. The kid got up and behaved like a fighter. Kudos, but you shouldn't get dropped like that. Listen, I agree. Garcia, man, you haven't heard me say nothing about Garcia as far as his personality. I said Garcia has the looks. I said Garcia is not going to be in boxing long. He's going to transfer over to Hollywood. I like what the kid is doing as far as putting the videos out there. You know what I'm saying? Everything he was doing with promoting himself. But like you just said, he went in there and he was dropped. His chin may not be the best in boxing. But Garcia might have this quirky type of sense of humor where he feels he's still in his life. He's a bit goofy. Because when he was on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, he was talking shit to Gervonta Davis, and you could tell he don't talk shit like that. Boy, you gonna need a stair climber, boy. You gonna need a ladder, boy. I'm gonna fuck you up, boy. He didn't even know how to trash talk. But he has this personality that even in his demise of being knocked down, people are gonna raise him back up because they like his personality. Ryan Garcia can get away with it. But I'm gonna tell you straight up, like I said last time, the black fighter wouldn't be able to get up like that and be goofy without being criticized. I'm just keeping it 100, man. Haney defend versus Fortuna, Nakatani or Linares, then move up and fight Postal at 140. That's a lot of work for him if he's saying he only had 2 fights left. That's a lot of work. So fighting Fortuna does nothing for him. Okay, so let's just say he fight Fortuna, and by that time Nakatani. I would say fight Nakatani, or but more so Nakatani. He has 1 loss on his record. All right, he has 1 loss on his record. Nakatani ain't never been stopped. I'd rather see Nakatani rather than Linares, man. That's real. Even though Linares still has stock in the game, I'd rather see Nakatani after if Haney fights Fortuna. Haney could possibly stop Linares. Oh shit! Stop it, bitch, man. Stop that, man. Stop it, bro. Man, it's too early for this comedy, dog. Stop it. Just stop the bullshit. Deshaun, what's good, bro? He said, what's up? I got a break. The news, the new narrative today is Wilder going to arbitration for more money because the 32 million and 10 million was enough from mediation. I'm not saying that. They're going to arbitration to figure out what they're going to do about this fight. That's what they're in arbitration for. I'm still waiting for the news. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be spread around like hot butter to every damn news outlet. You know what I'm saying? But Mitch said Haney could possibly stop Linares. Oh, stop it, bro. Stop it, man. Come on now. Stop that. Don't even dare. I like Haney trying to get a fight with Teofimo. That's a fight I want to see. Nobody said that. I didn't say I didn't like it. I just figured like this. I say, why wait and place yourself in an idle position when you're trying to establish a legacy? Why place yourself in a position where you're not going anywhere? If you're trying to prove to the people that you're the next best boxer and you are that blooming superstar, then guess what? Move the fuck on. Because obviously you messed up. You know you messed up. You stayed in the WBC too long while Team Teofimo Lopez redirected, went the IBF route, and picked up all the gold. It sucks. But if you're not willing to understand that it sucks, and you're willing to just stay there and hold that single strap, being that you did not fight a champion, and you just worried about, okay, let me get more money, then don't be mad at the end of the day when you've been in the game and you at welterweight and people still talking about what you didn't do 135. People at welterweight division still talking about how standard your resume looks. Either one, you're trying to be great or you aren't. I truly believe wholeheartedly that Team Lopez is trying to be great. The route that they took to get to the straps is respectable. The route that Devin Haney looked bright initially, but you sat up there and jumped in a group with names that you wanted to be a part of and you have a history with, not Javier Fortuna, not Luke Campbell, but Team Lopez beat you to the motherfucking gold. They were smarter than you in making that decision, man. Now you got to say, okay, what do I do? You want to become desperate and take this shit to court just so they can recognize? You think you're not understanding how the metric work. Let me explain to you how the metric work. The WBC is not a promotion. Therefore, you want to take this shit to court and believe that the WBC pocket isn't long enough. So if you all about money, if you all about this money, why are you going to waste it with capping? You know damn well you're not about to challenge the legality of the WBC and waste time in the lightweight division just so you can get a fight with Teofimo Lopez. You're not about that because you're going to have to come out the pocket. I'm pretty sure this legal team is well versed in whatever angle you're trying to come from, and if they have a board of governors who can vote on implementing a franchise belt and going along as they see fit to change the rules, you think you're going to be able to change that shit up just because you want to submit something in court? You capping. Capping. You ain't spending no motherfucking money on court. You capping, bro. I just think Linares is ready to go. He looked good his last fight, but fuck it. That's how I feel. But Mitch, though, what is he going to do for Devin Haney? I'm looking at Devin Haney as a fighter right here that they're saying what they're trying to be in boxing is something great. So why would I even suggest that for Devin? I don't have to be directly in his circle making decisions. I'm speaking from the outside looking in. Why would I suggest he fight Linares when it does nothing for his career? It does nothing for his career. Nothing. Javier Fortuna, absolutely nothing for his career. See, Nakatani would do more for his career because Teofimo Lopez has fought him and he's coming off stopping Felix Verdejo. We can't say what's good for the welterweight division and, basically demanding that Terrence Crawford fight this person and that person because Errol Spence did. But yeah, it's not applicable to a lighter division just because it's Team Haney involved. I would say the same thing for Teofimo Lopez. Just because I support him, I still like, hey, I would like to see him fight solid competition, and that's what they're doing. When you hear Teofimo say it's no way that I want to take an easy route, I believe him. I want to fight the toughest. I believe him. When he said they took the hardest route, I believe him. When he say people are trying to not take the harder route, but they want you to give them the whole entire pot of gold, I believe him. You want to fight the man who beat the man, but yet you haven't even fought a man yet that we can really compare to who I have on my resume. That's all T.O.'s trying to imply. You know what I'm saying? You want me to give you a title shot, but yet nobody on your resume stacks up to my last 3 opponents. That's too much to deal with, that Mitch. Mitch, I'm telling you, that's too much to deal with, bro. That's too much to deal with, man. Haney fight one of those guys, then move up. That way he beats the other young guy at 140. Money fights at 135 for Haney, though. Man, money fights will be at 140 because Haney has a name. Haney has a name. Listen, this is what I say about this, Mitch. Ryan Garcia gets off the canvas and defeats Luke Campbell, and his name is ringing in the streets more than Devin. How is that possible? Because Devin Haney is calling out Gervonta Davis and not Devin Haney. He's calling out Tank and not Haney. And people are talking about this fight as if it's Haney Tank. We're talking about somebody who hasn't really did anything in lightweight division, but yet he's getting more exposure right now than Devin Haney. The only exposure Haney is getting is when Bill pops up and speak to these other segues and say what he says. That's it. What's going on, Pac-Man in the building? What's good? All the back and forth, someone has to make the decision that's conducive to their career. If they want to attempt to take the WBC to court, all I can say, God damn it, you better find the leprechaun close by because you're going to need a lot of luck. You're going to need a lot of, look, you're going to need a tremendous amount of luck. And then not only that, just say you win. Just say you win. Now you have to step with all the influence that WBC has, with everything that we've seen, even with the judges. You really want to go against the grain and think you're going to step in there and not get robbed? I'm not even talking about against Teofimo Lopez. I'm talking about if you choose to move up or whatever. Boxing is so spread out that they can blackball you wherever you go. They can blackball you whenever they feel like it. So you want to take a sanctioning body that's been in existence since 63. You want to damn take them to court all because you want to prove a point that Teofimo should face you. Now you have to step in there with Teo. You go the distance and get robbed. What are you going to do? Take him to court? You going to take him to court? Because you have to win. You have to go in there and win. You get the fight, you have to go in there and win. There's no options. You come out of there and you lose, the fans will turn on you. The fans will turn on you with a vengeance. You can best believe that shit. So me, being that I don't like to prognosticate negativity, I'm saying if you win, you're good. You in control. Now what? You say you was about to lead the 135-pound division. What y'all going to do then? You win the unified titles. What you going to do? Defend it? No, because you want to go out on top, right? So let's just say you stay down there for a fourth fight when you should have been gone in the second fight because you said you only have 2 fights remaining. Let's just say you go down there, stay to a fourth fight. Now you got to face your mandatories. Now it gets sloppy. Do you stay down there just to prove you can defend your belts? Or you move the fuck on? That's not for me. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just, all I am, just a fan and media. And, we'll see how it plays out, man. Linares fought Loma and looked good his last fight. Fortuna got a KO his last fight. Those are formidable names and not Nakatani. He ain't getting T.O. Tank Ryan right now. I agree. I agree. That's what's up. But I don't put too much emphasis in Fortuna last stoppage, even though he did get the stoppage. And then also Linares. I didn't get Lomachenko too much credit for stopping Linares, because how many times has Linares been stopped before? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Linares is Linares. So how long are we going to continue to put these names out here that's losing and say just because they have a name, they're a credible opponent? When do we start wagering a win versus a loss? When are we going to start holding Sean Porter accountable? People say, oh, Sean Porter, he's ranked number one. He's number one. But how many times is he going to lose against the top name, win, lose, before people start saying, hey, Sean Porter's still a top opponent. He's still a dog. He is, in a sense. But I'm saying Linares loses and gets stopped, then turns back around, just say get a couple of wins, loses, wins. I mean, when are we going to say, well, stop putting him in there? I mean, don't put his name on the list with this fighter because he lost this time, and this time. I mean, how many fights does a fighter have to lose before we start saying, you know what, you need better competition? Don't fight Linares. He's been stopped several times already. What is that going to do? But in boxing, that seems to be the normality, man. It seems like it's a cliche. You know what I'm saying? Some of these top names, they still get passes, bro. Sean Porter is a good fighter. He's always come in shape. He always come to do what he have to do. But, I don't consider him a great fighter, but he's a good fighter. He is. He is, man. If Sean Porter had a different style, like I seen him against Julius, what's his name? Julius Diaz. If I seen him constantly having a style that he can still pick up the wins against top names, I would give him all the credit in the world. You know what I'm saying? But, him losing to Kell Brook, him losing to Keith Thurman, you know what I'm saying? Him losing to Errol Spence. So why are we calling for Terrence Crawford to fight him again? Oh, just to compare him to Errol Spence? Okay, I got it. Just to kind of boost that fight up, I got it. It's just like Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia continues to have promise and has some Wall Street to his name, but look who he's lost to in the welterweight division. Just take a wild gander. Him and Sean Porter somewhat in the same boat. Seriously. Danny Garcia and Sean Porter is somewhat in the same boat. People can talk shit about Keith Thurman all they want. But he got Sean Porter and Danny Garcia on his mantle. You can best believe that shit. Man, it's been a pleasure, man. I got to bounce. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. And appreciate everyone who donated to the channel today. This shit is not easy to do, especially when it's boxing and MMA. So, man, donate. The Cash App up there. Don't be afraid to donate $1, goddamn. Donate 50 cents, a 57 cent, a 59 cent. You know what I'm saying? Support the channel, man. Share the content, like and subscribe. I appreciate you. Until next time.
What up, It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and right now you tuned into World Combat Sports.